Dear everyone, a very good morning to all of you. A special invitee, Mr. J. Muthukumar, dear members, and others who have taken the time and joined us for AABN's unique session on Karma Yoga, the path of action of Bhagavad Gita, its practical application in the 21st century. Today's session is our 190th weekly webinar. As you all know, the AABN networking and knowledge imparting engine has been steamrolling ahead, crossing several significant milestones and enriching many lives by providing updated information on not just industry practices, but also offering a variety of expert views on soft skill development and personal well-being. As we spread our net far and wide, we have been fortunate to come across several interesting personalities who have eagerly participated in our sessions, shared their thoughts, sharpened our perspectives, and prepared us for future challenges. Karma Yoga is old. It started a long time ago. People wanted to find peace and happiness, not just make money or win prizes. They learned that doing good things without wanting something back was a secret. In Karma Yoga, it's not just about the action, but why and how you do it. You do things to help others, not to get a thank you or a gold star. Karma Yoga is not just sitting and thinking. It's doing things with a big heart. Every day is a chance to live Karma Yoga. You don't need to be a superhero. Just do your normal work with love and care. Intention is like a seed. Plant good ones and good things will grow. When you help others, don't think about making money. Think about the smiles you bring. Every small thing you do can make a big difference. Like a tiny drop of water makes the ocean. Keep your heart open and your hands ready to help. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce you to today's special guest, Mr. J. Muthukumar, founder and managing director, IWEL's Integrated Management Consultants, DMCC, Dubai. I must confess how impressed and inspired I was reading his resume. It was really tough for me to summarize his lengthy resume since every achievement seemed noteworthy. It's simply unbelievable 4 decades of remarkable work in the highly complex field of oil exploration and production. He is an expert in upstream oil and gas management and a risk expert. His contribution is considered outstanding not just because of his project delivery and value creation skills, but also his ability to integrate innovative technology and explore avenues for AI in the field. An important aspect of his glorious career has been his keen focus on sustainable growth, compassion, and ethical business practices. Among the senior positions he has, I would like to bring to your attention the following. He was Chief Technical and Operating Officer, Chief Delivery Officer, Head of Integrated Project Management, Global Group General Manager, Drilling and Completions, well-delivered leader, high-performance coach, leadership and risk in complex projects, among others. As I read the extensive list of achievements in his resume, it filled me with immense pride to think that Mr. Muthukumar too had passed out of the portals of Annamalai University with a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering and belongs to the 1984 batch. His academic merit and intelligence took him to IIT Kharagpur for his master's in chemical and petroleum engineering. He followed it up with a postgraduate program in data sciences in the University of Texas. And I must note that his work life has taken him to over 30 plus countries across the globe, from USA and Norway to Indonesia and Vietnam. He writes books on technology, philosophy, life fiction and non-fiction. His upcoming publishing books, Bhagavad Gita for the 21st century generation, Shivananda Budham, Is There Anything Worth Dying For? Today, Muthukumar is here to share his thoughts and experiences on a range of topics. Apart from business, his interest lies in social work and create value and service-oriented business model that will serve humanity for a long, healthy and happy life. Muthukumar, fondly known as MGR in the campus, is passionate of his service to humanity. He is here to regale us with his assured experiences. Those who have known him say his enthusiasm is infectious, and we are lucky to experience it up close today. I know you are all ears for him. So without delay, please join me in welcoming our special invitee, Mr. J. Muthukumar. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Gopi. Thank you very much for your introduction. And I thank everyone who joined in this call. For some, it is a very early morning where they live, and for some, probably is late in the afternoon. I welcome all and thank you very much for this. So please give me a few minutes to explain how we do this. This is, as you know very well, Bhagavad Gita is a philosophical book more than a devotional discourse. But in the times of the last 2000 years, it has moved towards a devotional holy status. But the fundamental theme of Bhagavad Gita is a philosophical talk on inquiry of knowledge through the path of action, devotion, and knowledge, all the three of them. Hence, this particular topic, what we're discussing about Karma Yoga, which is the path of action for people to understand better the word of Karma Yoga. There is no direct translation of Karma Yoga into English. As you all know, Sanskrit it's a very challenging and a complex language. Every word has got probably 50 meanings, and we can talk about it for days. So Karma Yoga is not. Yeah, can you please go on mute, please? Hello, can you please go on mute, whoever is talking? Okay, so Karma Yoga actually is a path of action. And so this particular topic is not on devotion, chanting, or prayers or rituals. We will not pray at the end of the meeting, or we will not sing a hymn or a verse from Bhagavad Gita before the beginning. And again, most of the Bhagavad Gita lectures are given by monks and saints and religious leaders and spiritual leaders. Very rarely someone like me, a project leader, comes and gives, and I will explain to you the context about Gita later. So please allow me to go through. But what we have to do is introspect and reflect by interaction and individual introspection. That's how Bhagavad Gita should be talked about. If you allow me to keep talking continuously for 2 hours or whatever, and then we do not interact and introspect, then the purpose, the objective of the Karma Yoga will not happen. Because if you look at the actual scenery of the Bhagavad Gita, throughout the discourse of Krishna, Arjuna, the receiver, does not sit idle. He actually questions a lot, challenges, and some places he admonishes. He says, Krishna, that you're wrong. You're confusing me. I don't understand what you're saying. The previous point is very contradictory to the new point. So you will please better explain to me what to understand. So he kind of admonishes even Krishna during the discourse. Very interesting interaction between both of them. That actually makes it very good, because it's the model which Socrates followed. Question, be a skeptic, do not just listen. And similar concept is from Krishna and Arjuna. So Krishna clarifies and explains each question to remove his delusion continuously. That's the beauty and essence of the Bhagavad Gita. So I expect that anytime, we don't have to wait until the end, because this is something different. Anytime you have a question or anything, please raise your hand. Hope we can arrange a discussion. We can discuss and go from there. So before we go, for many of us, there's a challenge in the Indian philosophies. The Indian philosophies are numerous. In fact, the earliest one started around 3,600 years back with Veda. So we have different levels and distinguished categories like Karma Sutras, which is basically Vedas and all the 4 Vedas, as you know, and then Vedanta Sutras, which is basically philosophical introspection, then devotional mantras, which is designed for chanting and prayers and musical, and the philosophical literature from Sanskrit, Tamil, and various other languages, and Itihasa and Purana. All of us know Itihasa is Ramayana and Mahabharata, and Puranas, 18 Puranas, and all of them. So we have a vast network of nearly 400 different texts available from Sanskrit all the way to Tamil. If you add up all the things of languages, there are more than 1,600 different texts in the entire world, including Marathi, Bengali. If you add up everything out, more than 1,600, really a multitude of books and philosophical texts are available. But what happened is that, unfortunately or fortunately, because of the situational, around 1,300 or 1,400 years back, a great bhakti movement, which is called devotional movement, started. And it became very strong after the entry of the foreign rulers who started from the 7th century AD. The Arabic Muslims entered into the country in the Sindh area in the northern side, the 7th century AD. As all of you remember, Alauddin Khilji and Muhammad bin Tughlaq and all these people. They came around the 7th, 8th, 9th century, but they did not capture Delhi as the capital, but they just come and go back. But by the time, because of this too much of invasion, in order to cohesively integrate the people's sentiments and confidence, the Bhakti movement really took off in a very, very big way, became very strong. And people did not have time to sit and introspect, think philosophy and all these things that time, because they're trying to survive, right? That's what happened from a political and perspective, which is the history behind it. So, although some people still continued the intellectual introspection, the Bhakti movement occupied majority of the philosophical and spiritual phase. So people turned into that kind of model. The great philosophies, for example, of Vedanta Sutras, the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutra, the Bhagavad Gita, others like Saiva Siddhanta, Tirukural, Tirumandiram, were kind of not taught from a young age for people to introspect, reflect, and inquire on an intellectual approach. Unfortunately, they all moved into prayers and chants and pujas and rituals. This happened because of some various reasons happened during the history and political reasons. And we have to respect that. And what is important here is today, it is not easy to deliberate the Supreme Being, God, purely from an inquiry of knowledge. We cannot ignore devotional. All of you are sitting and listening to this, and it is very difficult for you to remove the concept of devotion, Krishna as a god, from your mind, to think Krishna as a great leader during the Mahabharata time and look at him from an intellectual angle. And that is one of the reasons also Indian philosophies, although they are much better than almost every philosophy across the world, including the Athens and Greeks literature from Socrates and Plato, they are not considered among the such philosophies in the world. Today, you go to Google now, type the top 50 philosophers of the world. You will rarely see Indian philosophers. Maybe only guy will come is Shankara. And some places you may get Ramanuja and Madhva. That's all. Madhvacharya will come, Ramanuja will come. Apart from that, you don't get anybody else. And you will see a lot of European and Western and even Chinese, Confucius, Lao Tzu, all this will come there. And so I asked one of the writers of this, I sent a mail to him saying that I challenged him. Do you know anything about Upanishads? Do you know anything about Brahma Sutra? Do you know anything about Sivajnana Bodham? How it is you saying that they are not better than Descartes of France and Germany or Saint Augustine from something from Rome? I said, what is not there? And they told me one small thing actually, that, sir, we do not consider philosophy if it is linked to religion. Unfortunately, every philosophy of India, although we know Upanishads, although we know Advaita philosophy, although we know Brahma Sutra, Adi Shankara is somehow linked to religion within India. So we have a criteria to decide how to bring it up. So this is one of the challenges actually because of that. And I said to you that there's a religion and context has come. But the Bhagavad Gita is very superior to any philosophy of Socrates, Confucius, Plato, Aristotle, David Bohm. I can list everything because I have read all the 50 philosophies of the world. I've gone through in depth of what Socrates said, what Confucius said for Plato and Aristotle, and nothing really comes near Bhagavad Gita. It is so vast and imminent that unfortunately, even today, we all of us sitting here in this room, everywhere, the whole country, we think Bhagavad Gita is more of a bhakti, devotional, holy book rather than inquiry of introspection. And secondly, because of the various political or whatever you call it, I don't want to bring it up, it is surrounded by controversy due to some text within that. And so it is interpreted differently by people and it has become controversial.
Sir,
The reason
if I-
I'm telling you
sir,
about it,
Sir,
yes,
if
sir.
I may, sir, if I may interrupt, since you told that we can interrupt in between, and you quoted some of the Tamil things also.
Yeah.
See, I see Tirukural has no connection with any religion. If you
Correct.
outwardly see, superficially see, there is a lot of debate going on. Actually, in spite of that, actually, you mean to say those people have told that it is not in the philosophical list?
They have not read Tirukkural at all. They have not read Tirukkural, Tirumandiram.
So
None of the
Tirukkural has
Tamil
been
books they have read.
translated in more than any other book except Bible, I heard.
That's correct. Actually, even it was translated by Pope. Vatican Pope translated Tirukkural. You are correct.
How can they eliminate Tirukkural?
That is the answer I gave actually. So I could not fight again. I am actually writing another text to him to ensure that at least we include Shankara, Sri Badarayana, Egjan Vakya of Upanishad, Sivanjanabodha Meghenda Devar, and Thiruvalluvar, at least 5 of them into this. So that is, I take it as my personal ambition to bring them into the top 50 scholars of the world. So I already told him that I will, this one I just sent a mail about 6 months back when I was doing the Bhagavad Gita book. Thank you, sir. I'm really working on it. And probably I will seek everybody's help to probably put a signature campaign and send it to these people who actually decide the 50 list every year. They publish the best scholarly articles and books of the world. We will all together send it to them to ensure to bring at least 6 or 7 these great people of India. Thank you, sir.
Great, sir. It's our pleasure. Nice. Please.
So, so based on this, the reason I wanted to talk about it is a lot of people may have a question in your mind that what I'm talking about, because any lecture of Bhagavad Gita, you go to a monk or a saint or a religious, you will say, Bhagavan, Krishna Bhagavan said this. As soon as you consider Krishna as a God, then the inquiry goes out, because then you have to bow and respect and accept. That's what happens when you talk about God. But when you talk about Krishna in the original setting as a greatest leader of a clan, then your inquiry starts from there. So I want to ask a question to you. What is the primary, foremost inquiry to attain the wisdom of the universe and the supreme being? Think about yourself. You don't have to answer it. Make a note of it. What is the goal of mankind? Pleasure or knowledge? Unless we answer this ourselves, better not to go forward with respect to path of action or knowledge. You have to dwell it for a minute. No need to respond to anybody here, just to make a note of it. At the end of this discussion, you decide what is required. It is applicable to everybody in this world, wherever they are from. What is the goal of mankind? Pleasure or knowledge? I'm going to hold it for 10 seconds. Think about it, make a note before we move forward. And this is one of the most important things to understand before we enter into Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga, any philosophy in the world. So just to help, pleasure and happiness is always temporary. It comes and ends also soon. Just imagine yourself, you have a great party, you drink a lot, you eat a lot, enjoy yourself, dance like a mad guy up to midnight, go and sleep. Next day morning, you have a hangover, you vomit, you have a constipation, you can't digest, you suffer the whole of next day afternoon until afternoon. You take tablets and medicines and whatever you can. You take billions of cups of coffee to get your hangover out. So the happiness what he had in the previous night is so temporary that it completely puts you in agony the whole of next day. People enjoy in the morning and feel sorrow in the evening. You look at each and every aspect of happiness we try to do. It is always temporary. It always ends very soon. But knowledge, it does not end. It only expands. There's a saying actually, people can take away everything from you. The wealth, the health, the happiness, the joy, family, relations, friends, everything they can take away from you. But nobody can take away the knowledge from you. Unless somebody becomes dementia or Alzheimer's disease or whatever. But nobody can take the knowledge from you unless they hit your brain and make you completely forget everything. So what happens that every time we feel the alternate pairs of motions, pleasure leads to pain, happiness leads to sorrow, we face success, we face failure, sometimes we face poverty, sometimes wealth, misery and comfort, everything keeps changing all the time. Even somebody who's got $1 million, he is in poverty if he's assuming to buy a $5 million property in London, right? Somebody with $100 million, if he wants to fly to space science and paying some money to Elon Musk, he's still in poverty because he's buying a loan from bank to go to space. Although he's got $100 million, he's still in poverty.
So poverty and wealth keeps changing depending upon our mind. But all of them are great teachers. On both good and evil, teach you a lot. They build and mold the character of a man. Vivekananda tells beautifully, your character as a man is molded from your suffering, your misery, more than your comfort. What brings the inner fire to glow is suffering. Each and every people who achieved in this world became great in the world. They brought that fire from the inner being through suffering. People who lived comfort all along in life rarely became great in the world, which is a proven fact in the history. So life is always a mess. Always. All our life, we struggle to remove that mess and misery. We run behind happiness and joy, assuming that they are the tools. But every action to attain happiness actually increases further distress and struggle. This is a very important aspect for us to know. For example, you go to a supermarket, you think you want to buy, let's say, salt, and you go to a supermarket, in a big supermarket, but then by the time you come to the counter to put the bill, you will have sugar, you will have 20 different items purchased. But you went only for salt. You went for one cup of tea and you eat a lot of things. You go to a shopping mall, people think, I have every dress, I don't want to buy anything. I want only one dress for this Diwali. They go there, they buy 10 dresses and come back. Every action of happiness increases further distress and the desire, craving to do that. Every week people eat biryani. Every Sunday people eat biryani, correct? But one Sunday, if they don't get biryani, they get so upset. They fight with the wife, fight with everybody. Somehow they'll go to any length to get a biryani. And that happens all the time. So this is what is happiness about. So one cannot pass the happiness and pleasure to future generations at all. Look at the knowledge we can pass. I don't want to read everything out. You all know about Vedas, 3,500 years. Upanishads, 2,800 years. Bhagavad Gita, 3,100 years. Karma, all of them. Old Testament Torah of Christianity, Judaism, more than 3,000 years. The New Testament, Bible, almost 2,000 years. The Quran, almost 1,400 years. Buddhist philosophies, 2,800 years. Socrates and Confucius, almost 2,500 years. All of them are coming to even today. They exist. They influence people. Not everybody. Not everybody is influenced, but a lot of people who are getting influenced, they live a good life. Anybody who's influenced by these philosophies, they live a very peaceful, contented, happy life. They don't run behind life's pressures and joys. So they still study, but this is a knowledge developed for thousands of years. It is still passed on to you. Look at all the technology and growth came from the knowledge, not by pleasure. Look at the people who invented stone tools to hunt and eat some 30,000 years back. 20,000 years back, people formed the wooden tools and arrows. That time they didn't have a bow, they used to use a mouth. And they also had a bow to hunt and fight. They also understood how to use animal skin for warmth and live in a freezing weather. They understood how to use and apply fire for cooking and life. They also understood how to store water. They constructed small dams. Then the agriculture, about 8,000 years back, domestication of animals, the Bronze Age, the wheel, which has changed the entire world. The invention of the wheel is onset of modern civilization and the great empires and civilization. The entire Sumerian civilization was formed because of the wheel and the chariots and weapons. I know Iron Age, 3,000 years back, that's the time Mahabharata war was happened because they used weapons of iron. First civilizations happened after the Iron Age. The language, text and writing, printing, energy through oil and gas or through anything else, all the energy requirements, modern advanced medical science, everything. Nothing came from pleasure and happiness. People who involved in pleasure, happiness, parties, enjoying booze and drink and girls and everything, they never invented any one of them. People struggled, suffered, developed knowledge and created this invention. All of us are using them. If you are an inventor, if you are a discoverer, you know what I'm talking about because you do not waste your time on petty happiness and pleasures. You focus your mind on creating a value. All right. So look at all the great scientific minds: Copernicus, Kepler, Galileo, Newton, and all of them. Every one of them you can read about. They all passed on knowledge to every generation now. Look at today. Kepler was the one who found some 500 years back the elliptical orbits of all the planets around the sun. We still use it. Galileo was the first one to say the sun is the center of the earth and the earth is rotating around the sun. He was punished by church, but still he stood by his words, and Copernicus did the same thing. Newton, Charles Darwin. In fact, Charles Darwin's evolution theory changed the entire world. More than 50% of the people across the world moved out of creation theory into evolution theory. And that's the time they broke the limitations of scientific thinking. They moved out worldwide. And that started the fantastic scientific phenomena what we see today. And all of you know about Albert Einstein, Max Planck, and for quantum physics, every one of them. But can you remember one guy who partied and celebrated? You remember any one of them? Can you sell somebody who celebrated and partied in Roman Empire? Can you sell anybody partied and celebrated in Genghis Khan's the great empire from Mongolia? You can't remember even one of them. Even what happened last year, you won't remember. Maybe you'll remember because he'll call you again for a party this year, so you may remember that. But you know, you don't pass on the people of happiness to future generations. So Krishna says to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, the path of knowledge, which is the yoga of wisdom, this immutable and imperishable yoga was taught to Vivaswan, who was the ancestor of Arjuna thousands of years back. Then Vishwashan taught to is the Manu. Manu was one of the greatest ruler at that time, the first Manu, not the Manu who wrote the Manusmriti 2000 years back. Just to want to clarify that. This Manu, there are 7 Manus. The guy who wrote the Manusmriti was the 7th Manu. There is a first Manu who was along with the Rishi, I forgot his name. Along with he's the first Manu. And then the Manu taught to his son Ikshvaku. And that is the generations, it comes to Arjuna. So Arjuna's 4 grandfather is Ikshvaku. And he says, this was then handed down generation to generation of Raja Rishis. That time, the great mighty kings who were also sages, they were understood this knowledge of action and yoga. And Krishna is telling Arjuna, I am teaching this insightful and secret yoga to you today to remove a delusion, to do your prescribed duty. Why Arjuna got delusion, we'll see it later. But you see that whether it is practically what we have seen in the last 2000 years, how the knowledge is passed on, Krishna says very clearly for generations and generations, path of knowledge is passed out. Nowhere path of happiness or joy is coming anywhere in the world. So knowledge, where does it come from? It is actually inherent in man. That is what philosophies tell. Even Socrates says the same thing. It's not just Indian philosophies, Krishna or Sri Badarayana, Vyasa, something like that. Socrates says that, Confucius says the same thing. It is inherent in man. It doesn't come from outside. The knowledge of the entire universe is under grasp, but you have to open up your brain to receive it. For that, the mind has to be open. How the mind can be open? Only by walking in the path of knowledge. And what triggers that? A small friction. Just a simple example of this apple falling down from a tree triggered something in Albert Einstein. Do you know how Albert Einstein got the theory of relativity? He was not able to find an answer. He's still struggling and struggling and struggling. How he's able to see light from the distant stars? It cannot be. How is it possible? Because if it is a straight line, then the whole of, maybe there are too many planets and stars around. Something will hide them, right? So how the light is coming from millions of stars he is seeing. And he also not able to understand that the speed of light and how it's going to work. And then what it triggers is thinking of theory of relativity, which changed the entire world. Was he's walking one time with the confusion and looks up a 10-story building or 8-story building. On the 4th story, somebody was painting or doing some repair. And he thinks that if this guy falls from the 4th floor, what will be his speed? He thinks about it. He calculates it. And then he writes the theory of relativity. Beautiful. I can tell the story of that one for a long time because it is mesmerizing how he thought about a person standing on the fourth floor, created theory of relativity, which is used for rocket science and space stations today. So this knowledge is not for memorizing data from school books and pass exams and score marks. No, not about routine procedures of an organizations and no, repeated factory workers as a laborer, even an engineer or doctor. It's not that. This knowledge is fresh, that expands, creates passion, and produce value. That is the knowledge about it. So when we go into karma, whatever we do is karma. Whatever we do is karma.
Okay.
Every mental and physical work is karma. Karma is an action. That's all. Karma is purely action. Karma yoga is different. Karma is just action. You are breathing, eating, walking, everything is an action, right? It's karma. This is not something related to karma vinay and all those things, right? No, it is not the past sin or something like that. In Tamil, karma means karma vinay. It's not that. Karma here is action from Sanskrit perspective. So our heartbeat itself is karma. Everything happening inside the body to keep us alive is karma, action. So every major task, every major project, every action is an amalgamation of several small events. You go to a beach, you stand in an ocean wave, you enjoy it. But you know, the ocean wave is an amalgamation of millions of small waves formed from the center of the sea. You know, I am an offshore guy. I worked 100, 200 miles from the shore in ships, in oil, and I've seen the small waves starting from that, slowly moving towards the thing. So when we are going by helicopter, we normally go below about 500 feet or 600 feet above the water. So we can see very clearly. And we can see that the waves are pushing, and then coming towards and becoming a big wave. And I've seen it personally for more than 100 miles on helicopter. Several times. So a small wave is an amalgamation of millions of small waves which we don't realize it. Look at a newborn child. We immediately they celebrate birthday, toys, dances. This a child is born, celebrate the party, drinks. But before a child is born, it's combination of hundreds and hundreds of small works. Starting from the formation of sperm in a male's body and an egg in a female's body to lead it to its birth. So intelligence like that is an amalgamation of millions and millions of small knowledge elements. It's a journey of years of genetics. Our first ancestor walked around 6 million years back. But 2 million years back, he found the stone tools and started using his hands to do something. And that intelligence is what we are today. It's amalgamation of intelligence of all our ancestors. Somewhere who formed in Africa, walked in the Mozambique, Kenya, and Zimbabwe area in the what is called, I forgot the name of the Rift Valley. Now, I stood in the Rift Valley. I traveled to Rift Valley to understand where our first ancestor was standing. So I went to the Rift Valley in Kenya. I stood at the center of the Rift Valley, and then the guy told me that this is a star. I mean, the Rift Valley is more than 2,000 miles or something, but I was just standing in one place to see that. And this is the place our Homo sapiens actually were started to live. And from there, they moved out of the African continent. And look at that generations of things where we are today. So just imagine yourself. Buddha's father was a petty king in a corner of India. That's all. Who knows? Nobody knows what is the name of Buddha's father, right? But Buddha came out of that, who encamps the whole world of India and Far East and Sri Lanka and everywhere. The Buddhism grew to a biggest level. Look at Jesus himself. He was the son of a carpenter, Joseph. There are millions and millions of carpenters in the world. But how Jesus came from this carpenter? Today's Jesus Christianity is followed by 2 billion people across the world. How did it happen? Where does it come from? Where did Albert Einstein came from? Where this powerful intelligence arise? I can give a lot of examples about it, but these are the people who created. Buddha created a marvelous and wonderful change in the entire country that time. And Jesus, as you all know, that what happened is exploded beyond anybody's control. In Europe, even Rome could not stop it, the growth of it. So that's what happened there. And we think about how and why and where they come from. And don't forget about all these people. Think about the own people. Abdul Kalam, the president of India, or anybody else, you look at it, how they came from a meager background and grow to the world standards. To be free frank, any fool can become a hero by just one act at a time. But we always never bother about his sustainability. He always fails and falls very soon. Occasions, right, make even a drunkard, an ordinary person to do something very great, but they don't sustain. But our media, our social media today really makes every small thing into big or bad all the time. But what Bhagavad Gita says, what Vivekananda says, what the Adi Shankara says in Brahma Sutra, you read Adhyasa Bharsa, it says very clearly, who is the person who is great? He is the only one when he is great, wherever he is, whatever he does, stays in character. Whatever the situation is, constantly great. For him, even the most common act will be extremely important. You will give the same reverence to pick up a small piece of paper from the ground, put it in dustbin. You will have the same reverence to ride a horse. You will have the same reverence to play a game and put a goal in the goal. Whatever he does, small or big, you will have the same reverence. That man is great. Look for him. He is a man. And those kind of men are available, but we don't see them because we only look at what media says. This guy danced for 24 hours. This guy ate 100 parotas, and this guy was the winner of something. That's why we look at it. So every human growth is the result of thought. Action. You're sitting here now, you're listening to me, and I'm talking to you. It all came from thought, not from anything else. You thought of something, okay, let us go and listen to this person. Either whatever is the reason for it. But it came from the result of thought. Whatever we see around, it is due to thought. All inventions, discoveries are due to thought. Today's hot topic, artificial intelligence, is also due to thought. So all the thoughts, they all integrate into a manifestation of a great and mighty will of a man. All the great people of the world, you see, they have a mighty will which cannot be scattered, demolished, or distracted by anything. They'll stand. Men who have done the world's greatest works have gigantic will and integration. Every example, take Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan, Napoleon, you name Jesus Christ, Buddha, Prophet Muhammad, you name anybody, Krishna, you take about Ajnal Valkya, the great rulers of India, Harsha and Ashoka, and you name anybody. Every one of them had a gigantic will and integration. And Shankara, forget about everybody. Look at Shankara. I am always amazed by this guy. 16 years he lived, that's all. He was taught everything at the age of 7. Vedas, Upanishads, all the rituals he was taught at the age of 7. At the age of 9, he gets very frustrated. What is this rituals? We are creating a fire, we are putting something, sacrificing ghee, sacrificing animals, did this. What is happening? Who we are praying to? What is happening around? And he wants to go into the path of inquiry at the age of 12 and tells his mother, I want to become a sannyasin, a yogi. I want to go away from all this. Mother says, no. Then for 4 years, they both each fighting. At the age of 16, he says, Mother, I'm leaving. Mother says, okay, but you have to come only for my death at least. He says, okay, just remember I will come. Then for 16 years, from the age of 16 until he died at the age of 32, he creates the greatest philosophies the world has ever seen. He walked from every corner of India. He walked from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, from forest, from Bengal all the way to Bombay on this side. He walked everywhere, established various things and argued, deliberated to various religions. There were 64 different religions that time. And he brought them everything together and created only 6 Shanma Madangal. Many of you know Sanskrit. You know Shanmadam. Shanmadam means 6 philosophies, 6 religions. He brought everything into 6 religions and say, this is what happened. I don't want to tell all the names, but you know the 6 religions. One is Vaisheshika, Nyaya, and Uttara Mimamsa, Purva Mimamsa, and all these things. And that kind of thing he did in 16 years and died. And he wrote Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, Bhagavad Gita, and every one of them. So karma, everyone works. What's it? The question will come to you, after listening to all this thing, what I'm going to say, hey, everyone is working. What is the difference, man? Right? Everyone works. But the difference is how one works. Krishna says, do work cleverly, know how to work. You will achieve great results. He is not telling anyone to stop working. This is the biggest controversy in Bhagavad Gita. A lot of people interpret saying that Krishna is saying, don't work. Just go for bhakti or jnana. No, he's not telling anyone to stop working. He says, just change the way of your work. Change your attitude towards your work. We discussed that's Karma Yoga. So that's what now we are in Karma Yoga. Everyone works. What's the difference? Think about it. Let us do it after the preamble. We'll come to this question. That is the answer for the Karma Yoga. Now, gentlemen, I want to do something now. Before the Karma Yoga, I have to set the stage now. It's a very difficult part, will make you bored. All of you may get angry. Some of you will walk away from this. But it is a fundamental to understand the Bhagavad Gita or any philosophy in the world. Whether you want to pick up something from Socrates or Plato or Confucius or anyone, if you don't understand the fundamentals, it will be difficult for you to understand. So I would like you to request to stay with you. And anytime you get bored, please let me know. I'll stop and move forward to Karma Yoga. But at this stage, at least listen to me for some time. The Bhagavad Gita is a philosophy of knowledge that leads to the inquiry of a Brahman. Brahman is, for everybody's advantage, is a supreme being. The absolute is a God. Whether it's a God or any religious God, whatever it is a supreme being which is prevails, encompasses, and expands the entire universe. That has been in existence without beginning or end. One of the challenges for science is how this universe is formed. Science says today that 13.8 billion years ago, there was a Big Bang. That was the onset of the universe. But it is from one important underlying factor. Anybody you talk to a scientist, please ask a question. What is the limitation of this Big Bang theory? You will say, it is only from observable universe. What we can observe, that's all. So, can it be beyond 13.8? Yes, somebody has already said it's 22 billion years old. So, no one knows today. Science has no idea about when the universe is formed. People talking about multiverses, universe, and universe existing, and this very clearly says in Bhagavad Gita as well as Brahma Sutra, the universe was always existing. There was a Brahman existing without beginning, without end. You can call it as anything you want. That presence in every element of the universe. It is inside you, it is inside me, it's inside every living being, non-living being. So, what Bhagavad Gita says simply is, through 4 paths of action, path of action, path of devotion, path of knowledge, and path of meditation. With this, all the 4, you can realize the Brahman, the presence of the Brahman. That is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. So what is saying to Arjuna? The Arjuna, do your path of action today. Today you are a Kshatriya, a warrior. You have to fight. Do your duty. By doing your duty without any attachment, without any desire for the action, the results of that, then slowly move into path of knowledge. He says we can bypass the path of devotion. From path of action, gain path of knowledge and go to Brahman. But if you want to go to the path of devotion, go through it. Not a problem at all. And this is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. So the central theme of the Bhagavad Gita is path of action. This is a controversial subject, as I told you earlier. A lot of people say, no, Bhagavad Gita is about devotion. It's bhakti. It's about bhakti to Krishna. That's the controversy even today. But the central theme, if you honestly look at Bhagavad Gita without any kind of a bias, it is the path of action. Because look at it. What is the original setting? You're sitting, I'll tell you what it is. In another 2 minutes, I'll tell you what it is with a slide, okay? Please wait for the original setting of that. The ultimate philosophy is to attain the knowledge of Brahman through Jnana Yoga. That's the end. So, it is a holy book of Hinduism, but the philosophies of action knowledge is the central theme. It is applicable to every human in this world, beyond race, religion, language, or country. Not only today, even 1,000 years from today, it will apply. It is so simple and beautiful when you come to know that. So that's why I'm saying qualifier, people who are too much into bhakti and devotion, who believe that this may be a qualifier, I understand, I respect that. So I'm not saying that, but if you believe in bhakti, you don't believe in action and jnana yoga, I understand that. But please listen and then see where you can keep your mind open and decide accordingly. So already I move here. So why the path of action, which is the one of the greatest philosophy of the world, is confusing, spiritual, and sounds controversial. A lot of people, karma yoga is not easy to understand. It's very confusing. Like Arjuna says, it's confusing, it's contradictory. You please don't do this. Same thing will happen to each one of us. All right. So what is important here is the challenge. What is this path of action in Bhagavad Gita? First, you have to understand the context of Bhagavad Gita. Anytime you do an inquiry or investigate, you are a police officer, for example, you have to investigate a particular crime. The first thing you should know, if you're a good investigator, is to understand the situational context, the initial conditions, and sensitive dependencies. If you don't understand that, your investigation is a waste of time. Similarly, if you are doing a project and you want to make it successful, you should understand as a project leader all the three of them. If you don't understand situational context, initial conditions, and the sensitive dependencies, your project will be a failure. I can talk about these three for anybody, even at your home, your family life also applies these three of them. I'll come to that later. But this point of view, Krishna talks to Arjuna. Who are they? Just remember, both of them are gallant, valiant warriors. They're fighters. Krishna was the leader of a major, highly respected and feared clan called Vrishni tribe. Yadava tribe is called Vrishni. It's got a long thing. In Mahabharata, as you know, after Yayadi, his sons forms two different tribes. One is from Yadu, who is the ancestor of Krishna in Vrishni tribe. Another one is the guy who actually creates the Moon dynasty, which is Pandavas and Kauravas. That is why they have relationship. He's uncle for Arjuna. So Yadu is the one who is the ancestor of Krishna, who is also coming from Yayadi from the same big kingdom. Arjuna was a leader, not the ruler. His brother was a ruler of a major, powerful, rich kingdom called Raghu dynasty, which is Moon dynasty. Both of them are coming from the same ancestor, Yayadi. So both were, and again, both were very handsome, very lovable, had multiple wives. You know, if you look at the Krishna's love stories, you will really mesmerize. No movie director can take a movie like that. And they also enjoyed a friendship and uncle-nephew relationship. Krishna, the teacher, was not a monk, was not a saint, was not a pastor, not a priest. Arjuna, the disciple, was not an ordinary, normal person like you and me. He was one of the greatest warrior in that part of the world. So why Bhagavad Gita is fascinating? Because it was discussed by Krishna. Unlike anybody else, you look at anybody, Buddha, Mahavir, Jesus, Prophet, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Confucius, anybody you take, nobody can be compared to Krishna. Because unlike any of them, Krishna is a gallant warrior, a leader of one of the most powerful clans of the time in India, a practically undefeatable, smart, intelligent person, a handsome, lovable playboy with multiple wives, a great flute artist, and a wonderful dancer. The story of each love of Krishna will defeat any story of lovers in a movie today. So there was a question asked by somebody, why you love Krishna? Krishna was whatever number of years he lived back, 3,000, 4,000 years, whatever they're saying. Why everybody loves Krishna today and why there was so much of opposition? Krishna was opposed by a lot of people, Sisubalan, Jarasandhan, you name it. Krishna had a lot of enemies when he lived there. When people asked him, they said, the answer was fantastic from somebody. We all love Krishna because he is ancient, he is not here with us. They said, why? If Krishna is here with us, everybody's wives will go and dance with Krishna. He's so attractive. So when his old place, he was a lovable boy of kind of the first playboy of the world. Can you please mute, please? So an extremely skilled manipulator of politics of kings and kingdoms.
Follow back can be placed under the seat in front of you. Guests seated on emergency rows are requested to place their hand baggage in the overhead bin. Thank you.
Somebody needs to unmute. Hello.
Yeah. Please mute, please.
Somebody is at the station probably somewhere.
So he's an extremely skilled manipulator of politics of kings and kingdoms. He can actually, on his fingertip, he was revolving kings and kingdoms of that particular point. A person who stands by the righteous ground and establishes moral principles as applicable. Feared by enemies, respected by friends, and revered by followers. Even today, Krishna is not just a god. Any one of us are allowed. You can think of him as a god. You can adore him like a mother, or you are even a lover boy, a guru, a teacher, a friend, or an advisor. Just at this point of time, I'm a great fan of Krishna. I think of him as my friend, an advisor, and guru. If you come to my house, I have nearly 8 or 9 different statues of Krishna and every possible material, from metal to wood to everything. I always think of Krishna to give me knowledge and ethical principles to live. So this is the thing. Look at the battlefield. One side is Kauravas, one side is Pandavas. Mega army is standing there to fight. Just before the starting of the fight, Arjuna is the leader of this clan on the left side, and he is the greatest warrior of them. The entire war depends upon Arjuna's acts that time. And then just before the war, he says, Krishna, take my chariot in between the armies. And he looks at him. What he looks at it? Arjuna sees his grandfather, his teacher, all his nieces and nephews at the enemy side. Because this is a war between 2 cousins, same family. Suddenly he gets depressed, feels dejected and deluded. He throws away his bow and arrow, sits on the bottom of the chariot and says, Krishna, I'm not fighting. His head is just bowed down. He says, I am not fighting. Krishna was shocked. That's not accepted there, because if Arjuna doesn't fight, his army is going to lose. And the story is, all of you know, I don't want to waste our time for it, but look at the situation now. Just before the start of the war, in between the 2 armies, Arjuna says, I will not fight. Do you really think, honestly, all of you are qualified? Think about it. Just put yourself there in a situation. Krishna, you tell that you go for devotion, you attain knowledge. No. Krishna is telling, do your duty, man. This is your duty as a Kshatriya, as a warrior. You are born for it. You are born to fight. That is your duty. And it's your duty to your brothers and your people to protect them from the enemy, to get your land back. Do your duty. Do you really think from this scenario that Krishna would have taught him, you become a devotee for Lord, you go and do renunciation and get knowledge that time? No. The central theme of Bhagavad Gita, from this you can see it is an action. Do your duty. Do your dharma of action, moral code of conduct, to respect one's duty. All of us, every one of us would have seen this situation. I got the situation myself. I was a great cricket player when I was studying in school as well as college before university. So I was playing 2nd division in Chennai when I was doing PUC in Vivekananda College. And that particular week, the 1st division people are coming to select for 1st division people. Jolly Rovers is one of the great 1st division team. All of us, many of you will know that. They are coming to see. I wanted to play that match and go to 1st division and then go to Ranji Trophy and then whatever. But that time I get a Annamalai University degree. I have to go to Annamalai, which is 200 kilometers from Chennai. Then my cricket life is gone. The first reaction was, I will not go. I will not go to Annamalai University. My desire for cricket took over me. I refused to go for a week. Then my uncle came and took me out, gave me a 1-hour lecture. Everything about. I don't want to go through it, but that lecture changed my life. I sacrificed cricket and went to Annamalai University. After then, I played cricket for fun. I like this, every one of us would have seen a situation where you forget your duty because of something, some delusion, and then do not act. Somebody will come to you and tell you what to do. And that is Krishna for us. That is, my uncle was Krishna for me. And like that, every one of you would have got some Krishna in your life to come and tell you that, right? That is why the path of knowledge is applicable to everybody in the world. So you have to look at it. Its situation context is amazing. The initial conditions of the war is amazing. The sensitive dependence is also very great. So just look at yourself. Your whole life, in your daily life, you would have faced these three situations. And you would have been deluded, depressed, rejected, no idea what to do. You would have just felt, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to sit here, let whatever happens to me. But somebody would come and give you a great discourse and make you motivated and move forward. Have you seen that? Have you experienced it? That is karma yoga. That is path of action. That is Bhagavad Gita for you. That is a philosophy. You don't wait for a God to come and give you something. You don't wait for a Messiah to come and save you from something. You don't do rituals and pujas and wait for somebody to help you. Somebody comes, somebody is that God is there with you, around you every time. That is Brahman. An uncle comes and gives you an advice and takes you out of delusion, motivates you. He's a God for you. He's a Krishna for you. He's a Jesus for you. He's a Prophet Muhammad for you. That is what you have to understand. That is what philosophy teaches us. We should not fall out of that. That knowledge is extremely critical. So, just for information, Bhagavad Gita is a Smriti says, not a Shruti. That means, for people who don't understand it, Bhagavad Gita is society concept based. It can be changed and memorized. So, I don't want to waste our time on this. I'll move forward. This is not for this discussion. We can do it later. But one other important thing, Bhagavad Gita is not for people who follows Purva Mimamsa or Karma, which is basically rituals and ceremonies. The Vedic concept of the Yajurveda, the Samaveda, and the Rig Veda. People will follow this Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda. That time, Atharva Veda was not part of this. Even say Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, out of the three Vedas, Atharva Veda came later. So whoever follows Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, which is Purva Mimamsa, it is not, Bhagavad Gita is not for them. And whoever wants material possessions by offering sacrifice, prayers, chanting to gods, it's not about, they have to go to the Purva Mimamsa. Who are superstitious with expectations of instant benefit, including liberation from God, again, it is not for them. They can go to Puranas, they can go to rituals and concepts like that. And Bhagavad Gita is for people who have passion to attain knowledge, who desire to attain the realization of the Supreme Being through introspection, reflection, and knowledge. That is what is important here. Bhagavad Gita will not encourage, it discourages non-action. Krishna is against non-action. He says, don't be inactive. You have to act at all the time, like your heart is beating 24 hours. Do not escape from your prescribed duties. Even for a saint or a jnani, you cannot escape. And do not excuse that come from meekness and fear. These are the three great messages Krishna gives to us. Hence, before we venture into this, Bhagavad Gita or whatever, decide yourself. Are you prepared for the journey of inquiry or not? If not, Bhagavad Gita is not by faith or belief. If we do that, the whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita is defeated. Because at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna, the last question from Krishna to Arjuna was, based on whatever I taught you, Krishna, Arjuna, as your delusion caused by ignorance been dispelled by my discourse to you. See how beautifully Krishna is not telling you that's about this God. He says, hey, I told you so much. Just follow it now, okay? Just adhere to it. Just go with it, man. I told you, I'm there. Don't worry about it. He didn't say that. As your delusion caused by ignorance been dispelled, Arjuna. The next line he says beautifully. So now you decide what you will do. How beautiful it is. Krishna could have compelled him. He says, you decide now what to do. Then Arjuna responds saying that, my delusion has been dispelled, Krishna. I will do as you discoursed. Beautiful. Then he goes and wins a war. That is the context. That's the question is, what happens after that? He gets up, fights and wins a war. And Arjuna's great accomplishment in the war is, even people read today, right? When you read it now, you find it so interesting. You get really mesmerized. That's how he fights. Arjuna is one of the called Jayaradhans. I don't know how many people know about it. That means he can handle 1,000 people at the same time. because he's one of the best bow and arrow guy. If you read Dhanurvedam is the one about wars and fighting, right? It says about it. In one stroke, Arjuna can take 5 arrows, one in each finger, put it on the bow, and releases 5 arrows he can do. That was the one copied in the Bahubali movie. Bahubali movie, it is copied actually, that they try to do this. Okay, Arjuna can take 5, Bhishma can take 5, Dronacharya can take 5, only 3 people, and Kripacharya, 4 of them. Only 4 of them can take 5 arrows at the same time.
If I may interrupt, actually, Arjuna
sir.
had a name. Arjuna's name is Savyayachi. Savyayachi means actually same time he can throw arrows from both the hands, actually.
Exactly. Correct. I was going to say that. Beautiful, sir. Correct. So that means he can do 10 arrows at the same time. So you're right. Actually, absolutely correct, sir. So that is how we can actually handle 1,000 people at the same time. And only one we can do equally is Karna and Bhishma. Only 3 of them can 1,000 people at the same time. And that's what the important thing. And so what is important about Gita is he was deluded, dejected, and then he gets his motivation and fights and win the war. And that is what applicable to all of us. So Bhagavad Gita says that, right? So that is why we should not delude ourselves into devotion. Is good. I'll come to the devotion and jhana later on. But what Krishna says, do your karma first, do your duty first. Then you do devotion and jhana. Not a problem at all. But do not forget your duty. That's what he's telling. And because of that, a lot of people leave the family, run away, right? I'll go sannyasa. I'll run away from the family. I'll run away from my responsibilities. I will not take care of my children. I will not take care of my wife. I will not take care of my parents. I'm going to run away. Just run away and become a sannyasi. They make money out of it. Krishna says, don't do that. You have your duty. Finish your duty first, then go do whatever you want. So there are more than 4,000 religions in the world. Hinduism about 1.3 billion people, Christianity about 2.4 billion people, Islam 1.9, all these things, right? But they are the major ones. We only know 2 of them. Believer means theist, non-believer means atheist. But there are 2 important one, which is more prominent in Europe and US, but not in this part of the world. Agnostics and deists. I don't want to go through each and every one of them, but the important thing you have to understand is that one of the problems in India, which I'm writing a paper about this, we only have theists and atheists in India. 90% of them. So either you believe, you don't believe. Atiga, Natiga. And that is the problem. Because not everybody is an Atiga, not everybody is Natika, not everybody is an atheist. There are people who are agnostic, people who are deist in India, but they're afraid because people don't accept it. But if we do that, all the confusion today in India about believing and not believing will go away. Because then the non-believers will be only about 10%. The believers may be about 30%. But the remaining 60% will be between agnostic and deist. They don't say that there is no God. I am a mid of deist and agnostic. I believe in God. I pray God. I believe in a Brahman. But I don't believe in idol worship or doing pujas, rituals, anything like that. But I strongly believe there is a God. So that is agnostic and deist model. And India is a problem because we have only 2 categories. So I'm writing a paper on it, very strong paper with a lot of examples. I want to publish it before December, and I will forward to Gopi to send to all of you if you want. But that is, I think we should bring a concept of agnostic and deist into India to show that what happens is the understanding of the philosophy will spread across the country instead of fighting between believers and non-believers. So irrespective of all this, if you look at all the 4,000 religions, every concept in the entire world, there are only 3 categories. Everything falls into non-dualism, dualism, nature and spirituality. Whether it is Christianity or Islam or Hinduism or Buddhism, Judaism, they all fall into that. This is not required for us to study about it, but if you're interested, I can discuss it later on. But I can tell you this is the difference between. Major difference is non-dualism, Advaita philosophy says very clearly that there is a supreme being, Brahman, who provides the entire universe and stays within you and all the elements across the world. And it is not different from you. It is not one. You and him are not the one, but you are also not 2. It is one Advaita. It is part of it. It exists, it doesn't exist. That means you have to realize it. Automatically, it won't be part of you. It is within you, but you have to realize it by path of knowledge. That is non-dualism. Dualism believes God created the universe. God created every human being. God created all the animals. That's dual. God is different. God is independent of all the living beings. So Vishishta Advaita, Dvaita philosophy, Christianity, Islam, everybody believes God created the universe. They are different from the living beings. If you read Genesis, it's very clearly God created the universe. God created everything, light and day and animals, human beings, everything. You would have read about Adam and Eve stories and all. That is the Genesis aspect of it. Same thing happens in India. We believe God created the universe. Many people across the world believe that. That's a dualism concept. But difference is some believe in several gods, some believe idols as gods, some believe God can appear as a human. For example, Jesus Christ or any avatars of India. You look at Ram, you look at everybody. We think God can appear as a human. Some believe in only one God, monolism. Some believe in natural elements of God, paganism. They pray all natural elements. And some believe also that gods can marry, produce children, they will fight with each other, even drink and make mistakes, right? It's common belief. It's a dualism concept, right? Then the nature and spirituality people, which has come from Samkhya philosophy, one of the best philosophy in the entire world, actually. Samkhya philosophy. And we can talk about it a lot. It's a great knowledge, but it believes differently that universe and beings are evolved from nature. Prakriti. It says there is a nature. In nature, there's a male element and a female element. They joined together and created everything what is in the universe. Mountains and rivers and stones and living being, non-believing being, stars, everything is created by Prakriti, nature. And what they're saying is there is no God controlling the universe or individuals. Difficult to believe, that's the philosophy they have. But just for your information, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches Arjuna Samkhya philosophy. He teaches Prakriti. He tells all of us, because of the Prakriti, your gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, that qualities which are two, the balanced mind of you, the impulsive, aggressive mind of you, the lazy, lethargic, useless mind of you, all three are created by Prakriti. So he says Samkhya philosophy you should know. In chapter 2 is starting Arjuna's delusion dispelling with Samkhya philosophy. The first statement is Samkhya philosophy. Beautiful. That's what he's talking about. But he takes up Prakriti. God himself works because of Prakriti. So the reason I put it here is that before we do anything else, you have to determine and decide what you believe. That is what is important, actually. So that's what I'm saying. So you have to believe, if you're a non-dualism guy, Advaita philosophy, you will see Bhagavad Gita from Advaita perspective. If you're a dualism person who believe in God, like Vishishta Advaita or Dvaita of Madhvacharya, of dualism of Christianity or anybody, then what do? You believe Bhagavad Gita from the dualism perspective. Nothing wrong in that, right? Nothing wrong at all. You believe what you believe it, but you should understand clearly what you're doing. Otherwise, if you, for example, there are more than 500 books of Bhagavad Gita in the world. Around 250 or 300 of them follows the Advaita philosophy concept, non-dualism concept. About 150 follow Visishta Advaita, Ramanuja philosophy. About 50 to 60 follow Dvaita philosophy. And the remaining follow the nature, Prakriti philosophy, Samkhya philosophy. So suppose, example, you are a non-dualism Advaita philosophy guy, and you pick up the book of Samkhya philosophy, you will get confused completely. You will not understand anything what they're writing, because every interpretation, Sanskrit is a problem. You can interpret 50 ways Sanskrit. The words are so complex. So they will interpret the way they want and do it, and you will never understand what is going on here. So you should know which book to even pick up Bhagavad Gita. This is what I was going to tell you about. So all this controversy, I want to remove it. And we already, I don't know how much time we have spent now. Before we go in, I would like to give a small story about many of you know about Bhagavad Gita, many of you know about it. But just to make for people to understand, there were two big kingdoms. There were two cousins, Kauravas and Pandavas. Many of you know about it, but some people may not know, and that's what interesting to get up. There's the two families, cousins only. One side is called Kauravas, one is Pandavas. They had 100 brothers, they had 5 brothers. Duryodhana was the leader of one, and Yudhishthira was leader of another one. All this thing we don't have to do. What happens is, because of the fight or enmity between them, Duryodhana wanted to steal or grab all the lands and kingdom of the Pandavas. And he can't fight. He doesn't want to fight. So he uses his uncle's idea, Saguni. He calls Pandavas for a gambling game. And Yudhishthira, being a gambler himself, he says, okay, I'll play gambling. So they play a gambling, and Duryodhana defeats Yudhishthira, grabs all his land, even if he bets his own brother's wife, everything on that. But afterwards, his father, he got afraid. He said, I'm giving you back. After that, he calls them again, second time you come and play. This time, whoever loses has to go to 12 years to the forest, and 1 year you have to live in disguise. After 13 years, you'll get the kingdom back. Again, by Saguni's magic hands, he defeats Yudhishthira. Pandava loses again. So they lose all the kingdom, everything. Without anything, they go to forest, live for 12 years. 1 year, they go for disguise, and then they come back. Then after 13 years, they come back. They ask for land, and Duryodhana refuses. He says, I'm not going to give it to you. Because by the 13 years, what he did, he elaborated his kingdom, he became more powerful, he became very strong. He says, I'm not going to give it to you. Do whatever you want. So a lot of attempts are happening to resolve the war. Then the dispute says, no, the war is declared. So entire Bharat, the entire country is divided between these two groups. Each group starts selecting their supporters, army, everything out. A massive army. I don't know how much quantity, but Bhagavad Gita says 486,000 people. That means 486,000 people fought in the war. 486,000, some 3,000 years back, the number I can't imagine. It's such a big number. But what they say is more than 450,000 people got killed in that war. That was the number given in Bhagavad Gita. So I don't know how much true is it, but that's a massive number 3,000 years back. So massive war comes in. Now, what happens in Bhagavad Gita? Now, Krishna is a gallant warrior, we all know that. And he's the uncle of both the parties, because both are from the same ancestor, right? I told you Yayadi and the group. So he's kind of uncle for both Pandavas and Kauravas. So he says, I'm not going to fight in the war. I will not fight with my hands, because whichever side I'm supporting will be a wrong thing. So I'll become a charioteer for Arjuna. It's a big story. I don't want to take up how he became a charioteer, but Arjuna invites him, become a charioteer for me. So I say, I will drive your chariot. And all his army goes to the other party. On the first day of the war, both the army battlefield is set now. All the armies have come. Beautifully, you see Bhishma, the greatest warrior from the Kaurava side, and the Arjuna on this right side leading the war army, all standing there. And suddenly, just before the start of the war, Arjuna says to Krishna, can you drive the chariot in between the army? I want to see both the armies. So Krishna, as a charioteer, drives it and stops it in between. So Arjuna gets up and looks at the enemy army. What he sees there? His cousins, his grandfather Bhishma, his own teacher who taught him everything, Drona, his niece, all his sons of the Duryodhana and his brothers, and his friends. All of them drank and partied, enjoyed. He says, why I have to kill these people now? What I am going to do? He gets dejected. He throws down a bow and arrow, sits on the chariot, says, how can I kill my kinsman, man? My uncle, my teacher, my cousins and nieces and my friends. Will it not be a sin? What is the use of having a kingdom after killing all of them? Who will be there for me to enjoy? At the same time, he says, from his side also people will get killed, right? So what is the use of having a kingdom by this fight? It's better for us to give the land back to our Duryodhana and walk back and live a happy life. So Krishna immediately understood his predicament. Unless Arjuna's spirits are motivated, lifted up, Pandavas will lose the war. There's no way without Arjuna they're going to win. So he admonished Arjuna immediately. What is this cowardice? Come on, get up and fight like a warrior. He admonishes him. Arjuna refuses. He never refused Krishna. He says, no, I'm not doing this, Krishna. I'm sorry. I'm not doing this. Then Krishna takes up and discourses Bhagavad Gita to Krishna. A lot of questions happen. A lot of youngsters, when I talked about very good youngsters ask me question. Even my own sons ask this question. Daddy, one question I ask you. A lot of youngsters ask me. Two armies are standing, the battlefield. Do you think Krishna will discourse this whole Bhagavad Gita will take nearly 3 hours for Krishna to tell Arjuna, 3 hours or 4 hours of discourse? I think why both the armies will wait patiently? What is the need for it? That's a good question. But the story is that original Bhagavad Gita, in the original setting of Mahabharata, was a very small thing about Karma Yoga, which is done by Vyasa. Later on, additions are added as the society grew and things changed. Bhagavad Gita became very big. So the research says that the original Bhagavad Gita was much smaller, and later on it's inserted and redacted as Mahabharata grew from 8,000 slokas to 100,000 slokas. That's a big story. We don't have to discuss it now, but anybody is interested, I'm happy to explain later on. But that's the story actually. So this gives an answer for us how it was possible for them to discuss in between the battlefield. But the important thing for us to understand is that it's a part of the great epic Mahabharata, and the situational context, I have seen that the initial conditions and the dependencies is nothing like anywhere in the entire world of philosophy. The Art of War by Sun Tzu of China will come a little closer, but it's different kind of thing. But it's a great book. Anybody wants to understand after Bhagavad Gita, if you want to understand how to fight your business empire, in fact, Bhagavad Gita's concept of karma, Art of War concepts are taken by most of the universities in the US, Europe, and India, everywhere. They converted to management lessons without giving credit to these two guys. I have read the curriculum of many management schools, and I read Art of War also fully. I read Bhagavad Gita fully, and all of them coming from these two books. But they never gave credit to these people. But you have time, read the Bhagavad Gita and also Art of War. That gives you how you can manage your life. They talk about war, but it can be applied to business philosophies. So Bhagavad Gita should not be seen from a saintly, monkly, laid-back spiritual aspect for elderly. It's not about for people around 60. It is for everybody, even at the age of 8 or 9, who's going to school and compete with the people. Because you remember, your children, your grandchildren will get into the same situation like Arjuna at some point in their life, even in school, even in college, even in everything what they do, even in a game of cricket. If they are players of sport, they will get this one. And you have to become Krishna, their uncle, and tell them what to do. Give them motivation. That's how we should read Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is for every individual in this world to teach someone who gets deluded. That's how I teach, I use Bhagavad all the time whenever people are around me, either my sons or my friends or subordinates or people in the office. Many people in the office run away from me. My colleagues and friends say, Kumar started. I tell them, hey, this is Bhagavad Gita. This is exactly what is Karma Yoga. Please motivate yourself, come out of it. Don't get rejected. You can achieve this. You can do this job. I always do that, irrespective of people run away from me. But that is very important that to understand that every one of you can become Krishna to teach Arjuna, one of your teen, youth, young or old, to come out of delusion and motivation. So this is the main picture. We're going now into the main picture. And what is important here? Before we asked a question. Everyone works. What's the difference? But why do people work? What drives them to work? Think about it. Motivation. Everybody has got a motive. Today, if all of you are working somewhere, you have a motive to do anything, right? What drives you to that work? What is the motivation? People have different motivation. To become famous, become a celebrity, to earn wealth and make huge amount of money, to attain power, authority, to win a particular game or whatever, a competition, achieve a goal or objective, and to go to heaven and paradise after you die. I don't know. There can be hundreds of different motives there. But all of them are born of desire, expectation, greed, and envy. Depending upon the level of extent of your motive, you can be greed or desire, envy, or just a craving, right? Whatever it is. So people think because of this, they can remove their sins and achieve their motives without effort and gaining knowledge by constructing a temple or church, donating to a temple or a church, pay to a priest, asking for salvation, do charity and say, oh, God will shower me blessing because I given charity, or do rituals, ceremonies and pujas, and sacrifice animals to deities or even planets. Somehow they think that such actions will pay off. That's a belief. No need of any true and actual effort. And that is what happened. Not everybody is doing it, but that is the belief which exists today. But what Krishna says is that don't do all this. What is on the right side? Don't do all these rituals and pujas, nothing. Nothing will happen to you. You have to work. You have to work to get what you want. That's the message he gives in Bhagavad Gita very clearly, without any doubt. He says, do not follow the Vedic rituals. He says very clearly there. So how many are successful? A lot of people work, right? Billions of people are working today. You look at the number of we have seen great philosophers for last 3,000 years. Huge religious leaders, spiritual gurus, temples, thousands of temples. Every year the new temple is coming. Recently also a temple came in Abu Dhabi. Church is coming everywhere. Everywhere priest is there, creating this salvation. But did any of them bring peace and joy to anyone? Honestly, without answering me, you think about it yourself. Did any of them bring a sustainable peace, joy, happiness to any of you? Every day there's a stress. Every day there is an expectations. If you're okay, you're worried about your children. If children are okay, you're worried about grandchildren. If grandchildren are okay, you're worried about society. Society okay, you're worried about something happening in Bangladesh or UK or US. Although you don't have any control, nothing happens and you sit and worry about what is happening in the US today, what is happening in the UK today. It's always stress. We create that. 95% of what you see in the YouTube videos, social media, in the movies does not happen to you. Does not happen to you at all. Just imagine you watch a movie, a 3-year movie, such a movie with violence and crime and the guy is so badly presented, the hero, violent guy, crime, he kills 50 to 70 people continuously without anybody questioning him. Will you live with somebody like this as a neighbor next to you? Will you be able to allow somebody like this in your house to live? You will not. But you will watch 3 hours watching that movie. You watch all the worst things happening in the world, in the YouTube, social medias, everything. But 95% of it doesn't happen to every one of us. Maybe about 5% can see a similar issues. Yes, fine. They may relate to that. But 95% doesn't happen to us. So why there's stress for everybody? Why there is disease and health issues, chronic diseases, diabetes, blood pressure, cholesterol, everything. We live by tablets, we live by medicines. Why? If all this is right, the rituals, ceremonies, pujas are correct, then you should have peace and happiness, right? Why contentment never comes? That's what Krishna is telling. It's not me. I'm not asking this question. Krishna is questioning this. Brahma Sutra in Adhyasa Bhasha, Adi Shankar is asking these questions. Upanishad is asking this question. Look at the beautiful one, Nachiket. Nachiket is a 9-year-old guy. He goes to the Lord of Death and asks questions. The Lord of Death prays to him. Nachiket, please go back. I can't answer your question. He asks all these questions. Why there is suffering? Why there is agony? Why 2,800 years back that Upanishad was written? Even today, I'm telling you, Nachiket, and you look at it, even today, 21st century, nobody can ask this. Nobody thinks about asking the question. People are more interested in Kentucky Fried Chicken and biryanis and this school going children. Nobody can ask questions. The teachers will beat them, right? Don't ask any question. Teachers don't allow. Parents don't allow. We look at the question Nachiket asked 2,800 years back. Why there is stress? Why there is agony? Why there is death? What happens after death? What is this life? Why these rituals? Ask all these questions to the Lord of Death. When you have time, please read Nachiket. If you're happy, I'll send a small paper I wrote about Nachiket to Gopi. Gopi can share it with you. But it will be one of the wonderful things you can read in your life is Nachiket questions to Lord of Death. It's complex in Sanskrit. I used a lot of translations are there, but I also use my own knowledge to translate it. I can forward that to you. So despite all kinds of this ritualistic, ceremonial, prayer-based devotional religions, why people suffer, irrespective of wealth and status? If you look at all the celebrities, healthy, wealthy people, they don't live happily. I don't want to give the names. Even recently, one of the biggest billionaire had a problem, right, with his wife. And all this happened, and media was exploding with that. Everywhere they're suffering, whether wealth or status or power. Why? That's the question, actually. So Krishna gives the answer. Very simply says, work for work's sake. Perform your prescribed duty with an unwavering mind. Do not be selfish. Perform work for the overall goodness of the society and well-being of others. Do not be concerned about the result. The last point is greatly misunderstood. It's highly politicized in India. I don't want to discuss about it, but because this forum is not for that, but I'm just telling you that this is completely misunderstood by the politicization, but that can be clarified properly if you understand the philosophy. We'll go to this again. So what is the inference of the point? Do not be concerned about the result. Don't be. A lot of people are confused about it in India because it's politicized, it's wrongly interpreted. I try to explain here what is the meaning for do not be concerned about the result. What is saying beautifully? Just imagine if it's also in Brahma Sutra, it's also in Upanishad. It's a combination of all the knowledge coming from the Vedanta Sutras and Saiva Siddhanta in Sivanjana Bodham. In Tirukkural, says the same thing. What it says is outcome of any action. This is the most important slide for you people. Please remember that. The outcome of any action depends on three major influencing factors. The first one, things which are outside one's control, things because of other beings, and one's own self. What is outside one? Nature, environment, situations. Other beings can be anybody you are working with, coordinates, subordinates, family members, whatever, or who are directly not there, indirect people, for example, a courier boy, a courier delivery boy, whatever it is, or a cook cooking in a restaurant. Others who are not working with at all, indirect, consequential people who are affected by something else. Then our own self, our prevailing qualities. This is Samkhya philosophy. The greatest point in Bhagavad Gita. The prevailing qualities, you have to discuss it in detail. That is what Karma Yoga is about. The attitude towards the work. How do you approach the work? The focus and knowledge of the work. So what is saying, Krishna is saying very clearly, do not be concerned about the outcome. He's saying, as you cannot control items 1 and 2, do not be concerned about the outcome because you cannot control 1 and 2. But in everyone in 2 performs work accordingly, that can be governed. Then we can also control the number 1 if possible. He says millions of small elements, when aligned perfectly, will create a major output. But not only because of you. Because of your arrogance, because of your delusion, you think that your action will give the result. But he laughs at Arjuna, says that your action is only your action. But your action's outcome is influenced by 3 factors outside of you. How are you going to control it? So don't say, I did. Don't say that. You didn't do anything. You want to take a credit, you say, I did, I'll take the credit. A.R. Rahman takes Oscar and says, it's all God to God. A.R. Rahman alone won. There are 60, 70 musicians did beautifully, each and every one created that music exactly what he wanted. Even one of them failed. A.R. Rahman not got the Oscar. So it is not A.R. Rahman who gets the credit. You can't say, I did it. It is done by everybody around him, right? In every aspect of it. So it is what is important. Say, don't, he says to Arjuna. Arjuna says, last time after killing Karna says, oh, I killed my own brother, I killed Karna. And then Krishna says, don't say I killed. Because you didn't kill Karna. You only killed already a dead snake, you went and killed him. Because Karna was dead long before you went to the war with him. And all of you know the story about Karna. So that is the important thing. Krishna says very clearly, don't cry that you do it. A lot of other things happening around you. So outcome of the action is not in your hand, in your control. Your job is to do your job perfectly with focus, determination, and the right attitude. Then forget. When everybody does the same thing in your team, you're working on a project, for example, you're working on a good project. Let's say you are a civil engineer, you're constructing a house. You say, today I want to build this, I want to put concrete to the roof, and everything's arranged. Unless everybody, the concrete mixture coming in time, there is no rain coming up. For example, you're trying to do a concrete now, you got the concrete mixture, you got all the masons, all the people are ready. You're ready now, heavy rain comes that time. What are you going to do? You cannot do anything, only plan everything. Or you do everything out and the concrete mixture gets a shutdown or breaks or get into an accident. Your job of concreting is not going to be done that day. So you can't cry, oh, I arranged, I did. It didn't happen because it's beyond your control. Concrete mixture are getting an accident, you can't do anything from here. Or heavy rains coming, you can't do anything about it. Or something happened to the mason's family, an emergency, all of them ran away. What are you going to do? That is the point, and we don't understand it. We get stressed, we get worried, we get angry, we start shouting at people, and this and that. That's what Arjuna he says. Don't get deluded. It is not you, because this slide is very critical, gentlemen. We have to understand this very clearly. Otherwise, karma yoga you won't understand. He says, desireless action, without worrying about outcome, you do your work perfectly. Because the outcome is depending on so many influencing factors outside your control. For simple example, you want to go to airport to catch a flight. You plan and go for it. Anything can happen on the way, right? Outside your control. Suppose you are sitting in a taxi. The taxi can get a flat tire. The taxi can get into an accident. The flight can get cancelled completely. Anything can happen, right? So what is the value of worrying about it? I did, I went, nothing happened to me. I. What is the use of I? That's what is important. You can only do one thing. You can start at the right time. You arrange the right taxi. You can go at the right time so that you already calculated properly, maybe on the road problem. So you go. That's the only thing you can do. Flight getting cancelled, you can't do anything about it. That's the point we have to remember, that outcome of any action is not in our hand. So don't worry about it. Do your job perfectly correctly. That's the point of thing. So the prevailing qualities I told about, all of us should know about it. It's very important. Chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about this throughout. The chapter 2, the verses from 55 to 72 is the only thing you should know about Bhagavad Gita. If you understand it, you don't have to read Bhagavad Gita at all after that. Just this 55 to 72, if you understand, if you realize it, if you assimilate that knowledge, every other aspect of Bhagavad Gita you can forget. Same thing in Brahma Sutra, for example. It's got 555 slokas. One of the most complex slokas, and that 555, there are 1,000 pages of explanations are there. But if you only the 4 of them are very important. If you understand the first 4 sutras of Brahma Sutra, remaining 551, you don't have to study at all. They are only explanation of what is the 4 says. Simply in Brahma Sutra, the first line, Athato Brahma Jignasa. That now means hereafter, therefore, inquiry into Brahman. That is the only thing in Brahma Sutra. But that one line, that hereafter and the thereafter, have 150 to 200 pages of explanation. So that's the complex. But if you understand the first 4 sutras of Brahma Sutra, remaining 551, you don't have to read. Same thing with Bhagavad Gita. If you read 55 to 72, you understand it fully in your mind with focus, determination, and discipline. You don't have to read anything. And the problem with many lectures of Bhagavad Gita here, they don't talk about, they straight away go into bhakti and then they come into it later to try this 55 to 72 differently. And the way it is told is what is the issue is. But the karma yoga, the path of action, this is important. So chapter 2 is fully about Samkhya philosophy and the 55 to 72 verses, which we'll discuss. So he says Prakriti, Samkhya philosophy, the Prakriti, the nature of everybody will give you 3 gunas, 3 qualities, which is called Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. For people to understand, Sattva means you are in equilibrium at a balanced person. You'll be always balanced. You'll be neutral. You won't get tensed. You don't get stressed. Whatever happens, you will look at it from a balanced perspective. Rajas gives you activity, impulsive. You can attract, you can repel, you can do action, whatever you want to do. That is what makes you to do something based on your karma activities, type of action. And this became a controversy later. I'll tell you again, because they say, oh, this is about for Varnashrama. He's talking about Rajas of Sutras and Kshatriyas and Brahmins. All this controversy came, but people did not, it's not properly interpreted. He says about Rajas will make you to work and act according to your karmic action. Karmic action means your prescribed duties. For example, if you are a warrior, you fight. If you are a CEO of an organization, either you take a bonus or you dismiss people. That's what you do as a CEO, right? Then you bring business, you bring funds, you make sure a business grows, or you ensure that the business is successful, right? You grow the company. That's what a CEO's job is. Similarly, for example, a supervisor on a plant, your job is to ensure that the job is done. That's action. That is what he's talking about. The karmic action is come from Rajas. Tamas is basically your alertness. There's no alertness. You are dull, lethargic, non-active. Eating and sitting and watching TV for 6 hours, 8 hours, binge watching, wasting time on IPL cricket match, watching it. Somebody's playing, you sit and watch with the beer and chips and Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's all tamas quality. People are tamas will always waste time watching meaningless things, dull and lethargic and all these things. Watching a TV or watching a movie for 4 hours, tamas. I went and watched a Vatayan movie, and I felt I am a tamas today because I was sitting and watching a Vatayan movie actually because I like Rajinikanth. But at that particular time, I was influenced by my tamas guna. If I had sattva, I would have said, no, I'm not going to Vatayan. I'm going to sit and do something else at home. It happens to you at every point of view. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. That's what it says. The three qualities act on you. Then at every point of time, a prominent quality will dominate you 24 hours a day. At every day, he says, it will revolve around you. Sometime will be at Sattvic, sometime Rajas. Not anyone will be 24 hours will be Sattvic or Rajaik or Tamasic. In 24 hours, maybe you are 6 hours Sattva, 8 hours Rajas, remaining time Tamas, except the sleeping time. Let's remove that. So that is very important to understand this. And every one of us, whoever's listening to this conversation, everybody around the world will have this one. Honestly, if you close your eyes for a minute and think about it, you will feel this. Sometimes you are very balanced. Sometimes you are very impulsive. You want to act, you want to do some action. Some places you are attracted, some places you're repulsive, but you do that. Then sometimes you are very lazy and lethargic. I don't want to do anything, man. I just want to sit in the sofa, watch a movie, have a cup of coffee, and just bullshit or procrastinate, right? And if it happens to all of us, that's what Samkara says, Prakriti, the nature of you, creates these three qualities. Remember that, mind. Then the prevailing qualities. This is what told by Brahma Sutra, explains it much more in detail than Bhagavad Gita. But I have taken the liberty of Upanishads and Brahma Sutra and Bhagavad Gita. I brought them together. But Bhagavad Gita mentions this, but Brahma Sutra explains it more in detail. What does it say? There are you as a person. I'm addressing you because every one of you have to think about it, this introspection, right? So what happens? You always go to these four realities. There's a mechanical reality, you will think about it, that exists as it is. Nothing changes. For example, clay will stay as a clay. Gold will stay as a gold. Clay will not become gold. Gold will not become clay. They stay as it is, right? Mechanical. You and me cannot change about it. That's the kind of reality, something like that. Then transient reality, that can change according to the situation. For example, water is water. Water is H2O as per chemical. 2 atoms of hydrogen, 1 atom of oxygen. It's H2O everywhere. But water will be muddy in a mud. It can be very good, tasty in a well, or it can be really flourishing and very, very, healthy in a river with a lot of minerals. And see, it will be salty. You can't drink. So everywhere water, but it changes. So transient reality will keep changing. That's what you do. Your judgment of people keep changing according to the situation. Somebody gives a gift to you on a birthday, you say, oh, I'm very happy, man. Somebody doesn't call you for a birthday to wish happy birthday, you get angry, right? So it's a transient reality. Things can change. Third is objective reality. Objective reality is factual. Sun is rising in the east. Sun is setting in the west is factual. You understand the reality. Like that is very simple actually. For example, you say, this is my daughter, this is my son. It's objective reality, right? Unless it is proven differently. But this is son, this is daughter, this is my wife, this is my husband, this is my family, this is my parents, this is my house, whatever you say. House also can be transient, but just saying for the example of objective reality, it's basically something which is factual. Subjective reality, right? That prevails in your mind, right? In your intellect, in your buddhi. It says, I am right and they are wrong concept. Whatever you think about yourself, right? In this, there are various things happen right now. For example, you have an subjective reality. I'll ask you a question to you. If you get hurt in your leg is paining, what you will say? Be honest. My leg is paining. My stomach is paining. My head is paining. That's what you will say, correct? Suppose you go to a beautiful party, or you had a coffee with a beautiful girl, or you went for a beautiful flower show or a beautiful magic show. What will you say? I enjoyed. I did not enjoy. That time you never say my body enjoyed, my mind enjoyed. You say I enjoyed. My leg is paining, but I enjoyed, you are saying, right? It's pressure and joy. Third reality, what do you say? For example, oh, that's happening on the next house, right? Oh, I know this will happen. This girl is always like that. Oh, they always do like this. I know this. You judge people. I know this guy will be dismissed from the office because he never worked in time. Judgment. So three things happening here, and all the three, all of us do, right? One time you say, you identify your body parts as something different from you. My leg is paining. Something you say, it comes from your psychological mind. I enjoyed. I did not enjoy. Come from that. And third one, you suddenly become an independent, like dualism, non-dualism concept. This happened because of this, because of this, because of this. You judge. You create some kind of a right and wrong things, code of moral conduct. Everything you create yourself. So there are three different aspects of it. So what Krishna says, all of them will affect your ability to perform an action along with your three gunas. Just remember this too. It happens to all of us, right? Third is, there's a seventh path of achieving knowledge. Whether you go to school, listen to your teacher telling you, or go to a college, or go to a training session in an organization, or a software training sent by your company, whatever you do, right? Whatever learning you're doing, or you go to some philosophical learning. First, you should have passion. You have to have in Sanskrit, it comes very beautifully, right? In English, it's difficult. In Sanskrit, the words are so beautifully flows in a very nice tone. Passion, you should have the passion for it. Then you have sadhana. In Sanskrit, called sadhana means not effort, appropriate effort. You have to do appropriate effort for it, correct effort. Focus, Gavana means you have to focus and keep your mind on it. And then Viveka, it says Vivekam, it doesn't say, are you intelligent knowledge? No, it says Viveka. Viveka means appropriate knowledge. That's the way Sanskrit is difficult. Sadhana means appropriate efforts. Viveka means appropriate knowledge. Not any knowledge, appropriate knowledge. Then discipline. Then determination, vairagya. Vairagya again is not just determination. Very difficult to translate in English. Vairagya means each and every cell of your body, each and every organ of your body has to be ready to do this job. Like a bow and arrow. That's what this vairagya means. And then finally, surrender itself into the work. You merge yourself into the work. The greatest example of this is Michelangelo. If you go to Vatican City, anytime you go to Europe, I'm sure many people go to Vatican City. There you see a statue developed by Michelangelo, Jesus Christ and Mary. Jesus Christ is lying on the lap of Mary. Basically, what happened is, it's not actually happened in the story, but what he assumed is that after Jesus was crucified in the cross, everybody goes away. He was taken down and put down. Mary, as a mother, runs around. He sees son is dying. He takes the head of Jesus, puts on her lap, and looks at him sadly. Just imagine, right? Any mother, the son is dying, this died son, the dead son, the mother is taking put on the lap, looking at his face longingly and sadly. Imagine any mother, right? Not only Mary, but Mary and Jesus. And Michelangelo assumed that if Mary has taken the head of Jesus, put on his lap, on her lap, and looked at him longingly and sadly, and slightly touching his face with a gentle finger, not to hurt him. And that statue, even today, I'm telling you, you go there, forget about whether you believe Jesus or believe Mary or Christianity, nothing to do with that. The beauty, you can't take your eyes off. Seriously, millions and millions of people stand there like a statue, watching it for at least few minutes, not for hours. You cannot take your hands off. Probably one of the most priceless statue ever created in the world. And that happened mainly because he surrendered himself. Somebody asked him, hey, how did you create this statue? Michelangelo replied, a beautiful reply, he said, it was already in the marble stone. I only removed all the unnecessary parts. That was the answer given by Michelangelo. That means he surrendered himself into that statue and the rock and then created that statue. And so a same example you see in Mahabalipuram in Chennai. You go to Mahabalipuram, there are fantastic statues. Some of the temples of South India, you'll see an unimaginable amount of statues will be there. Some of the goddess statues they create is like as if you're talking to it, right? And all this is happening because it's surrendering itself to the work. And Krishna says these are the three things happening. And it's also get associated with association fallacy and negation fallacy. It happens to you now as we speak now, it's happening. I don't want to take time on this too because it will take a lot of time. But later on, I explain to you that association fallacy is when I'm talking to you, your mind will go. Suppose I was talking about Michelangelo and Rome. I'm 100% sure. If any of you has gone to Rome, any of you gone to Italy, your mind would have gone for 10 seconds. Did I see that statue what Kumar is talking about? And if you already seen the statue, yeah, he's right or he's wrong, whatever. So your mind is already gone, associating your trip to Italy some few years back. So basically says everybody has got association fallacy and it loses the focus on the subject. Negation fallacy is you already negate what I am talking about. For example, if you don't agree with what I said about Michelangelo or anything, any concept, you say, oh, he is wrong. So basically you approach with a negation fallacy. So instead of keeping an open mind and analyzing, let's hear what he's saying. So we always, start negating somebody in our mind. It happens even to me when I talk to my colleagues and bosses and people I work with. Sometimes if they're saying something, if I feel that it is not right, I don't allow them to stop. I immediately jump in and say, no. Can you please stop? What you're saying is not correct. That's negation fallacy. And it happens to all of us, and we have to learn and come out of it. And if we don't have the negation fallacy, you'll be able to listen and learn a lot. So the Brahma Sutra says that unless you have this one, you will get into adhyasa. Adhyasa means you will imagine something which is not there. For example, Shankara's greatest example is a rope and a snake. You will think that if you do not have this seventh path and you associate with these fallacies, you will see rope as a snake. Rope and snake example of Shankara. Adhyasa, that's what he's talking about. So next one is, we already discussed about situational context, initial conditions, sensitive dependence. It's very, very critical actually, because in every aspect, you get into this. Anything you get into this model actually. And we do not judge people based on this. We judge people anything. We don't look at, you don't see that. For example, your friend, he was a great friend for you for 5 years. And one day he gets angry and shouts at you on the phone. Immediately get angry. You don't think about what is his context now. He was never does it, right? Something is happening to him. If you are honest, if you are right as per Krishna, you will think, what is his context? What is his condition? Maybe something else is happening. He's dependent on something. So you will think about it and give an opportunity to explain. Otherwise, you will say, hey, you shouted at me. I'm not your friend. Go away. How many times you have seen between boys and girls when they're loving to each other? They fight like anything without understanding somebody's context, right? Many divorces happening today is because of these three. In fact, one of the judges talked about divorce. He quoted Bhagavad Gita and shared these three contexts and say, Based on, if you look at what is the context of your anger towards your husband, you'll learn. And it happened. After sitting in a room, looking at all the three, they canceled the divorce. It's a real example. So it is any conflict, any dispute, you can manage it without any time. So when I go for a dispute resolution conferences or training, one time a trainer in UK was explaining to me contractual dispute, how will you manage it? I stopped him and said that this is what you have to apply. It is from Bhagavad Gita. I explained to him in UK. And he didn't agree with that. And actually I went to the stage and explained to it for half an hour. Then he adopted into his training module this three context. And you think about it, you can create any amount of solution for any dispute by applying this correctly. And when people don't apply, the dispute becomes a major problem. So if you look at all these things, every action of you, even sitting here listening to me, is happening because of all this occurring into your mind at every second. That is what is important. What scientists and doctors say, your brain undergoes billions and billions of interconnecting nerve connections to take a decision. Even if you decide, I want to go and eat chapati and rajma, your brain has to go through 100 billion networks to decide chapati and rajma, right? So all these are happening. Every one of them are happening. So how it is practically possible, man, to do something good? Arjuna, that's what Arjuna says. Krishna, you're telling about all these are happening to me. How do you expect me to take a decision? I don't understand. It's contradictory. Please explain. He cries to him. So Krishna says simply, don't worry about it. The only solution is that you work for the sake of work. You have a prescribed duty, Arjuna. You do your work according to the work. Perform your duty without a wavering mind. Dedicate all to the Supreme Being. Everything for the Lord. Whichever God you think, just dedicate to Supreme Being. Do not be selfish, Arjuna. Perform your work for the well-being of others and goodness of the society. And do not be concerned as the outcome, because it is not in your hand, as we discussed. If you follow this, all all these things, what are happening, nothing will worry about it. You don't have to go through all of them, because automatically your mind will be very matured and advanced. This is Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga, somebody does this, is a Karma Yogi. So it's very easy, actually. Difficult to follow in our daily life, because we are affected by this. This is so beautiful. There is no medicine. There is no medical technology explaining that. I can challenge you. You can buy any psychology book. You can go to any master of psychology, master of physiology, counselors of psychology. Go to anybody in the world today. Ask them to draw this picture. I didn't draw this. It came from Brahma Sutra, Upanishads, Nachiket question to a lot of death, Brahma Sutra and Bhagavad Gita. Only from 3 books, and Sivajana Bodham from Tamil, and Thirukkural to some extent. I took all this, I put this one here. See, it came from our philosophy. So tell me yourself, think about it. This philosophy, we are saying that it is devotional, and we have to do prayers on this. I did chant Bhagavad Gita. Is it right? Honestly, with knowledge, which medical book will give this one? Only philosophy can give. A similar concept you can see from Socrates. Everybody wants to do a path of knowledge should study the book by Socrates, How to Ask a Question, How to Be Skeptic. There are 9 methods of how to ask a question, how to find an answer. One of the best, it helped me a lot in all my work, complex work. Many people ask me, how do you systematically investigate a project performance? From here, also from Socrates, and also a book from Confucius. Confucius also talks about how to become skeptic, how to learn. We can expand our mind to learn all these things. And you can see similar concept even in Bible, even in Quran. But unfortunately, even Bible also, it converted into a devotional holy book. That knowledge aspect of Bible is hidden, is masked. I can, Moses' Old Testament Psalm, one thing it says, when you die, even your grass will not recognize your place. Something very nice psalm is there. And if it attaches itself to Bhagavad Gita, death and life, Nachiket question comes from there. I used to get, what is happening? There is a relationship between Psalm in Moses' Old Testament Torah book, and it comes to in Nachiket's question to a lot of death in Upanishad. Very interesting connection there. Both of them thinking very similar lines. So, gentlemen and ladies, understand this is what is happening in our mind every minute. Krishna says, don't worry about it. You do this one, you become a karma yogi. Nothing will happen. All these things you don't have to worry at all. Because if you eat for the sake of eating, if you think for the sake of thinking, without selfishness and well-being, then you won't eat bad food. Because you will eat food which will give you sattvic quality, then tamasic quality. What it says very simply in Bhagavad Gita, if you eat good food, these are the food he says. Not now. What dietitian today, what nutrition today, you look at Bhagavad Gita, he lists, these are the food. I didn't take it up here because that is not Karma Yoga, that's different. It comes in Jnana Yoga. But he says, these are the food you eat, you get a sattvic quality. These are the food you eat, you'll become tamasic. You become lethargic and lazy. Don't eat this food. Krishna lists everything out. So he says that if you have a right mind, you will have a sattvic food. Whatever it is. I don't want to get into vegetarian, non-vegetarian, meat. No, I don't want to get into it. But you can even eat meat and still be sattvic if you know how to eat it. That's what he's saying. Eat for the sake of eating. Think for the sake of thinking. Sing for the sake of singing. Whatever you do it for the sake of that particular work without wavering mind for wellness of others. Don't be concerned. The result will automatically come good. That is what is the learning from Karma Yoga. So Krishna says to Arjuna, you want to escape this duty to fight this war, and you want to run away because of a moment of weakness. Remember, Arjuna, he says beautifully, no one, including saints and monks, must escape duty. The pending duties that are prescribed to every one of you will not allow to live and die in peace until the duties are fulfilled. It happened to so many people, right? How many people ran away from family, became sannyasis, and then later on they realized that they made a mistake. They come back home and ask for apology or forgiveness to the wife and children. It's happened everywhere. You have seen that. Consider your nature of dharma, which is moral of conduct, and do what is your duty. Today, you are a Kshatriya, you are a warrior caste. Do what a Kshatriya will do. And if you avoid engaging in dharmic principle, you will destroy your honor. You will be called as a coward. People will hold you in contempt. What is honor then? I have experienced this a lot with many people I work across the world. And I told a lot of people, don't do this. One time there was a major problem in one of the wells we were drilling, and one engineer wanted to go home, taking holiday. I told him, today, you are an engineer. You are the guy who is going to design how to resolve the solution. Okay, I was the project leader, but he was the engineer to do that. If you go now, people think the exact word I told him. I told him also in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to him, you go now today, irrespective of the reasons, unless there's a death or an emergency, people call, you got afraid and you ran away from here. Don't do this. Stay here, solve the problem, and go, you will be honored. And he stayed back. I practiced it several times in my own life. And he says, in this war, either you will conquer or you will die. If you die as a warrior, you will go to heaven. So why are you deluded, Krishna, Arjuna? Have the resolve to fight. He says, become equal-minded to happiness and distress. Don't worry. Gain and loss will happen. Victory and defeat will come. But do your duty. Just because you are defeated, you cannot stop doing your duty. Who else will say this? So beautifully, he says very clearly that whether you get success or a failure, continue to do your duty. That's every one of us at some point of time encounter a very similar situation where we try to escape from duty, right? This Krishna's dialogue, as I told you that anything happens, you can become Krishna, the other guy can become Arjuna, you can teach people. Very simple truth, very simple concept, no major philosophy, but something which appears your heart and brain and your mind to make you work. And this is my interpretation from my book. So I have only about 4 slides to go. I want to stop here and ask Gopi, it's already 2 hours now, whether to continue or take questions and close it out, Gopi, because this is what the essence of karma yoga. Basically, you do this, but there are 4 slides which explain to you why it is critical. But that can be, I can send by email also. So please, Gopi, advise me what to do. Thank you.
Sir, please go ahead, sir. It's very interesting.
All right. So thank you very much for that. So as a continuation, as I said, after telling this summary, Krishna now takes up to explain further because Arjuna says he's not able to convince himself. So chapter 2, verses 39 to 41, Krishna says to him that I'm going to teach you something. He's going now from Samkhya philosophy. He moves into intellect portion, that is Buddhi Yoga. He says something called Buddhi Yoga. He explains to him, okay, I talked about Samkhya philosophy to Arjuna. Now I'm going to tell you the yoga of wisdom and action. All right. And if you're endowed with that intelligence, Buddhi, you will break the bondage of action. What is telling that is, in the path of Karma Yoga, there is no loss of effort. Because whether it's victory or defeat or anything, there's no harm done. Because even a small fraction of your dharma will free you from fear of birth and death. That's what he's telling about. You do a simple step. Millions of small elements create an ocean wave. Same way, you do a small step today, it'll create a value for you in your dharmic concept. And you'll walk towards freedom, liberation. That's what he's telling you. So in this intellect, if you are resolute, highly determined, with a single point goal, then stay there. Do not become distracted by many branches of diversification and unending doubt. He says, you understand this? This is Buddhi Yoga. Then Krishna Arjuna says, you have to go for it and explain to me, because I was told about rituals, yajna, velvi, fire, prayers, and sacrifice. And the question I didn't put it here. He asked, I am getting confused. He's saying that if you have buddhi, you don't have to do everything. But somebody says you have to do everything. So what I will do, Krishna? This is a very controversial. That's why I put in yellow in color. Today is a very controversial topic in India. And I will leave it to you. How do you want to take it? But actually, in what is in Bhagavad Gita, without any bias, is my interpretation, is it says very clearly, people who are with limited intelligence, it says undiscerning is a word. Sanskrit, again, very difficult to translate. So somebody may say, no, Kumar, it is not undiscerning. It is not limited into something else they may say. But what I did was, I took up Dr. Radhakrishna, Adi Shankara, Ramanujar, and one English author whose name is George Feueristein, and one more. 5 scholars of Bhagavad Gita translation. I read their translation and tried to adopt my own understanding. Okay, this is what's the reason it. So, but I'm saying it's controversial. That's why I'm telling you. Get attracted to the Vedas, and they say nothing else is there. A lot of people say everything is in Veda. No need to study anything. Everything is in Veda. Everything in Veda. But in reality, in Veda does not have philosophical context. If you are interested, our Vedic system, 4 Vedas, which is Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and Atharva Veda. Rig Veda was the first one about 3,500, 3,600 years back. It basically praises and pleases the Lord of nature. The Varna for the rain, Vayu for the air, Sun, Surya, Indra, and all these things. And that is praising and requesting not to harm them and give them all the benefits of life. That is Rig Veda. Samaveda is a kind of a musical tone converted. Most of them, 85% is from Rig Veda, but it's singing. It's a beautiful musical, that song of Gayatri Mantra. Om Boom Bhuvashvaha comes from Rig Veda through Samaveda by a Gayatri Mantra by Vishwamitra. So it comes from Samaveda. The Gayatri Mantra comes from Samaveda. Then you get the Yajurveda, which is rituals, all the kind of yajnas and everything out, right? It is takes for everything. Graha Pravesam, marriage, childbirth, even death, everything is coming from Yajurveda. It gives rituals for each and every aspect of life. Even for kings, for example, this Aswamedha Yaga, Putra Kameshti Yagam done by Dasaratha, or Aswamedha Yaga done by Dharmar, Raja Yoga, Raja Surya Yoga done by Dharmar, which actually left Duryodhana with the envy and started all this problem. So all these things come from Yajurveda. Atharva Veda is the last of it, which is talks more of a dark kind of thing, like how to make a woman love me, how to destroy your enemy, how to destroy, how to create a powerful army, how to get a promotion, whatever it is. That is Atharva Veda. That is what is really used everywhere when people wanted to become, suppose politicians, they want to become prime minister or chief minister, they use Atharva Yaga. So I'm not telling you you have to do it, but I'm just saying that is the practice followed. So these are the yogas are all rituals and everything out. And what Krishna says is, they are practices. They are not philosophical. What happened at the end of this 4 Veda period, a lot of people, probably, I don't know what happened to them, they started thinking differently that, hey, rituals are not the only one. That is how the first Upanishad came. Towards the end of the Rig Veda, 10th mandala, you see 2 songs comes up. 2 verses says, what is this earth? Who created this universe? That was the only 2 Rig Veda which will talk about philosophy. Then you move on to Upanishad. Upanishads are the one talks about, from beginning, they don't talk about rituals, they don't talk about puja, they don't talk about Velvi, Yajna. They talk about questions. Nachiket asked about what is death, what is life. All of you should read Nachiket question to lot of death. That is what about Upanishads. Then from Upanishads came the Brahma Sutra by Sri Badarayana, then Karma Sutra. Indian system is so beautiful that Upanishads are about 108. They say about 200, but they're about 108. Lot of issues. People cannot understand. There's a lot of controversy, lot of contradictions here and there. But most of them talk about Brahman, but a lot of controversies. So what happened? You Brahma Sutra, Sri Badarayana summarized the entire 108 Upanishads into Brahma Sutra. So now people never stopped it, right? Purva Mimamsa people use the rituals. They said, okay, Brahma Sutra has been formed from Upanishads, but we have 4 Vedas with the rituals, because they believe in rituals. India was split into 2 sets that time. You have to put your mind into it. People do rituals, people do philosophical thought. People of Upanishads were called as Uttara Mimamsa, people of rituals called Purva Mimamsa. So these people said, oh, we want something like Brahma Sutra. Then Jaimini created Karma Sutras. Karma Sutras are summary of the entire 4 Vedas, which has got all the rituals. To today, all the rituals you follow from Veda, it comes from Karma Sutras of Jaimini, which is a summary of all the Vedas. All the Brahma Sutra, philosophical, you read from Brahma Sutra is from Sri Badarayana, which is coming from all the Upanishads. So we have now all the Vedas, all the Upanishads become Karma Sutra of Jaimini, Brahma Sutra of Sri Badarayana. Somebody says Vyasa also written, but these are 2. Now Krishna follows Brahma Sutra. If you look at Bhagavad Gita, he talks about Upanishads. He clearly specifies Brahma Sutra in the Jnana Yoga. When you go to Jnana Yoga, mostly it comes from Brahma Sutra. Krishna follows Brahma Sutra. So he says, the Karma Sutra is not by limited intelligence people. So with desire and longing for heaven, he says, they speak very praising words of Veda, and they also talk about rebirth, this and everything out, and they do a lot of rituals and rites and for gaining pleasure and power. This is where controversy. People do not accept it. They say, no, Krishna is saying something else. But Krishna's concept, you understand, analysis, is behind Brahma Sutra and Upanishads and Samkhya philosophy. Samkhya philosophy and Vedas are 180 degrees apart. So if Krishna is talking about Samkhya philosophy, there's no way he's going to support the Vedas, because they are 180 degrees apart. They are opposing each other. They are like BJP and Congress. So there's no way Samkhya philosophy and Vedas can be same. So Krishna considers Samkhya philosophy is really a worth, and teaching Arjuna that, and telling Veda that rituals don't do it. So what is saying? Such people who pursue pleasure and power through rituals cannot fix their intelligence and concentration. You also do that, right? For example, what is happening? what the people of ritual say, you don't have to have intelligence. You don't have to think. You come, you give me to whatever you want, go to God, go to do puja, do an abhishekam, go to some here, anything you do, and then God will do anything. You don't have to think about, you don't have to meditate, you don't have to gain anything. Simply, you don't need any intelligence at all. Just doing a puja, doing an abhishekam, doing going 48 days around the temple, go to Girivalam, you'll get everything in place without effort. And that is the concept he's talking about. Adi Shankara is totally against that. With Ramanuja changed later on. But a lot of this Saiva Siddhanta is totally against it. I can say this whole thing happening. Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra, Adi Shankara's Advaita philosophy, Saiva Siddhanta, Sivajnana Bodham, Tirukural, Tirumandiram, all of them are against these rituals. So you can see that two parallel philosophies in India was coming for last 3,000 years. It's not small joke, guys. Look at it. 3,000 years, you have one caste is saying that rituals are enough for pleasing the gods. Other says rituals are not required. You need intelligence. Both are traveling continuously all over India. Even today, it's beautiful. And that is an important aspect. That's what Krishna says it. Don't do a thing. What he's saying is that the three gunas we talked about, sattva, rajas, and tamas, you have to become free from them and come out of this pressure and pain, gain and loss, and be balanced minded. That's what it says. So you'll be always under that. So this is a very important verse from 42 to 45, but highly controversial. I'm telling you again, because you talk to somebody who's interested in Purva Mimamsa rituals, they will vehemently oppose what I'm saying, or people following dualism, Madhvacharya's Dvaita philosophy, Ramanuja Vishwa Advaita will oppose this. So depending upon who you talk to, keep that in mind. Same thing again in 47 to 53, Krishna now says, I'm going to define Karma Yoga more details to you so that it is good for you. So what is saying? For taking any action, you have the right and a choice. You can choose. This is what I want to do. This is my right to action. But don't think you are responsible for the outcome. This is important. As I already explained to you, don't say, I did, I did, I did. Don't hit on your chest and beat it. You don't do it. You can only act. The outcome is depending upon various factors outside your control. So the rewards of the action, don't get attached. You do your duty perfectly, but don't get attached. So today, one day there was an argument. I was there sitting and watching a debate. I like these debates, and why Ilayaraja did not get Oscar, why Rahman got Oscar. Some argument same concept came. So I entered, I said that it is, why are you taking Rahman and Ilayaraja only? There are factors outside their control. Because Rahman did a good job, Ilayaraja did a good job. Both of them are fantastic musicians, no doubt at all. Ilayaraja is one of the greatest. Rahman is also greatest. Both are equal. One he got Oscar, one didn't get Oscar. But it is a mistake of Ilayaraja. No, Ilayaraja did his job very well. He created superb music. But the people in the board who sent the songs to the Oscar committee and the selection committee of Oscar, they did not select it. Maybe for politics, maybe for something else. We don't know the reason for it. But it is not Ilayaraja's mistake. It is not Ilayaraja's issue. You should not worry about it. The thing is, what is outside of control. If you are able to solve the control, resolve it, resolve it. Without resolving it, sitting here and debating and fighting, people who are all talking are useless. Nobody can do anything about it. It is like you and me. If you and me start fighting about Rahman and Ilayaraja, why they didn't get Oscar, is there any solution to that? We're wasting our time, wasting our effort, wasting our thinking. There's no need for that, right? And we don't do that. Every day we do that. We start arguing and fighting with that. Why Vettayan did not collect 400 crores? Why Goat did not collect 400 crores? What is going to happen to this? What is going to happen to this? This is good. That is good. We always fight and argue this and this instead of doing any kind of intelligent thing. That is what the concept is. He says about it, you have the right. Don't worry about the outcome. Just leave it. Because so many factors outside your control. So saying, remain fixed in yoga, perform in your actions, abandoning all the attachment. Gentlemen, I'm telling you my own experience, right? When I was playing cricket, I told you, when I was trying to play for second division, my whole idea was come to first division. Every match, I used to get very stressed. I pray, I do everything out. I go to Vinayaga, put to Karpuram, Vidhu Panni, Adu Panni, come to the Thopukarna Poti, Elam Panni, whatever I need to do. I do that and very stressed while playing cricket. The moment I went to Annamalai and then went out of this competitive cricket, I was so happy because I was not attached to the result. Because somebody else was doing it. Because I'm not going to be selected by somebody or I'm not going to be judged by somebody. I'm playing my cricket for fun. Obviously, my whole play changed and my happiness changed. And every one of you would have realized that concept of stressing yourself, attaching to the result. So that's what he's telling. Don't get attached. And if your action is performed with attachment, will become far lower intelligence. That is what is important. So go for it. This is the story behind it, what is telling, but it's a kind of, I developed a same thing in a flow chart for the 21st century generation to understand. It is in my book. The same concept, because many people today cannot read all these things, right? So I made a flow chart. Same thing, what we discuss, it is here. So in two charts, as this is for 21st century people, right? If you look at it now, what is happening? Today we are all there. Many of you may be project leaders or something you do. You got to allocate a task, you have to action now, right? So you have to perform all these things. Similarly, from Bhagavad Gita, I taken it up. I put it here for the 21st century generation. No need to go through it now. I just showed you that I put that in my book so that they understand it much better, a picture than a word. Then this is the last one. This is the crux of the Bhagavad Gita's Karma Yoga 55 to 72. It will apply to all of you. Every one of you, irrespective of who you are, which religion you are, which country you are, which one you eat, whether you are vegetarian, non-vegetarian, whatever, it comes. This is the most important aspect. Very interesting. It's mesmerizing also. He simply says that when a person gives up the desires of the mind, craving of the mind, and becomes happy and content with himself, he becomes steady in his intelligence. And the person who's not affected by sorrows and devoid of desire for pleasures and is free from fear and anger, he is having an unshaken intelligence. Beautifully saying very clearly, don't get affected by sorrows, it will happen. Be devoid of pleasures, anger, and fear. Be steady. If you're able to completely withdraw your sense organs from the object of senses, what he's saying is that object of senses, your eyesight, your tongue, your nose, your ear, whatever, and your skin. He says they are the object of senses, but your sense organs, when you see it, you see a beautiful flower or a beautiful girl, you get attracted. You see biryani, you start tasting in your mouth. You see a beautiful perfume, you want to buy by the smell of it. You're listening to your music, you want to listen to it or buy the record, whatever it is, right? He's saying the sense organs, if you're able to withdraw them, like a turtle goes into its shell, your intelligence will be established. Don't worry about it. Your eyes will see several things, but don't get your a sense organ. The object is looking at the senses, looking at a beautiful thing, but don't get affected inside your mind. Be steady on it. Don't get distracted. So for a self-disciplined person, what he's saying, the sensory emotions we have self-control of that. They're not able to influence them. Then you become very successful in your intelligence. That's the first step of Buddhi Yoga. Then what he says is that even if you try very hard, okay, some aspect of your senses will always call you. What he's saying very simply is that you decided that I will not eat biryani or rice for next 6 months to lose my weight. That's what's happening, right? People want to lose weight. Immediately doctor says, reduce your carbohydrates, reduce your sugar, do this exercise, everything out. Then you said, I will not eat chocolate, I will not eat ice cream at all, or I will not eat biryani at all for some time. But although you are strong, your senses will always be attached to you. In Sonyana Buddhism, it's called Anava Malam. Anava Malam will not go. It is always attached to it. But the first sign of weakness that is going to take you, ask you to go to the desire and get it done. That's what happens. It doesn't happen, then it becomes a problem. This next 4 lines here is very critical. It says, if a person contemplates on the object of senses, attachment is born. Remember these 4 points, which is it's like a Bible for us. It says such attachment will arise desires. Say you want to get biryani now, and from the desire, if that doesn't happen, it goes, you get anger. Happens, right? I want a biryani now. I want to get it. My desire has come now. I'm attached to the biryani, the taste of it. Here, what I'm attached to the taste of the biryani. Now, desire has come. Oh, I'm feeling, what I'll say to my wife, today I don't know, I want to eat biryani. Somehow I feel the taste of biryani in my mouth at 11 o'clock. So I want to eat biryani. Can you make biryani? And the wife says, oh, I'll do. She doesn't do biryani now. It becomes a desire now. I'm saying, hey, I want to biryani now. Make biryani for me now, or order from whatever. Now the order is done. This is not coming. 1 hour, the delivery boy is not coming. Naturally, what happens to you? You get anger. The desire becomes anger automatically. Now, 1 more hour, the delivery boy doesn't come. Maybe he got into accident or something, he forgot. Now the anger becomes delusion. You get angry, right? We have seen that very delusion means you start questioning. Why he didn't come? What is his problem? I'm paying him money. It's not free. It's not a charity. You start shouting, calling people and this and that, and you dilute it. But your wife is not doing something, your friend is not doing something, or your office is not giving a promotion, or you're not getting a salary increment. You get diluted. You start thinking about it. Why? Why that guy got salary increase? I didn't get a bonus. Why? His boss doesn't like me. Did I do something wrong? It happens to so many people, right? Delusion comes in. From the delusion, you get a confused memory. That's what happens. What I did wrong? What I went wrong? Is something gone wrong here and there? Then the confused memory will destroy your intelligence. And from that intelligence, you perish. Perish in the sense that you lose control. You act impulsively. It's a great example. Look at what is happening. When you get anger, you become deluded. From deluded, you get a confused mind. The confused mind, you lose your intelligence. What do? You beat your wife. You beat your children. You shout at your friend. You make him an enemy. You destroy your friendship. You destroy your relationship. You resign in one day. I am resigning. I don't want your job anymore. Then you come and beg outside. All emotional. You take a divorce because of thing. I don't like you. I am going to divorce you. I'm going to fight with you. No tolerance. Nothing happens, right? All the time. That is what Krishna is telling, that you have to understand your senses will create an attachment. Attachment will become a desire. Desire will become anger. Anger become delusion. Delusion to confused memory and distracts intelligence. You perish yourself as a man. People who drink a lot exactly get into this. People are very greedy. They do this. People are very envious. Do that. People are envy. They will do to go to any level. Look at what happened in Hyderabad. One mother, go to Google and search the newspapers. It's an actual news. One mother, the children, her son is always coming second in the school, not first. She got envy. To find out the first guy. That guy always gets first rank. The son is, irrespective of how much tuition they do, how much teaching they do, he always comes second. What does he do before the next exam? Can you even imagine? The mother is doing that. That girl takes food to the school, calls the first rank guy and gives him poison. It happened in Hyderabad. That guy dies, man. The next exam, her son becomes first. She lost herself, right? A mother, a 7-year-old guy or 11-year-old guy, he killed because his son has to become first rank holder. And you see that all around you, in your family, in your relations, in your friend circle, people do it because they're envious, they are greedy, they destroy friends. We still accept it as a friend. That's what Krishna says. Don't do that. If everybody does properly, it is okay. So when you become this, your desire, your greed can make you to lose. You will perish yourself as a human being. So that's what he's saying. If a person's mind is disciplined, he would not be affected by the object of senses. Free from attachment. So you're free from attachment. Okay, biryani is not there today, is fine. If wife says, I'm tired, I can't make biryani, can we just do it next week? Yes, ma'am, no problem. Forget it. She's done it for so many weeks. 1 week she's saying she's not feeling well. Why are you ordering from outside? Okay, next week we eat biryani. Don't get attached to that. I have seen people fight for food. People fight. People shout for everything. You don't have to do that. So what is saying, in the purity of the spirit, the person will experience destruction of pains and sorrows. All the pains and sorrows will be destroyed completely with God intelligence. So the last of this thing is saying, so when you have well knowledge, then there's no need for you to do rituals, no need to look for knowledge, no need to look for anything else, because automatically your mind becomes buddhi yoga. You become a king of wisdom itself, right? So, but if you allow to wander your mind by senses, it will carry the intelligence away, like a wind. Therefore, right? Don't do that. That's why he's telling that. Don't allow your senses to control you. There's object of senses, then the sense itself, the subject of the sense. Don't allow you to control it. Be detached. You like it. It doesn't say you stop working. You do your prescribed duty. You do whatever is going to be done. But don't get desire and greed and craving affect your intelligence. That's what he's talking about. So last point he says, after telling everything, he says, like a ocean, when a water river flows in, ocean is very still. It doesn't get affected at all. Like that, if you are at peace in your mind, no desire, no greed, no craving can attack you. That's what he's telling, right? So all the materialistic desires of the objects, have it. Don't have a longing. Nothing wrong in eating biryani. Nothing wrong in buying a beautiful dress for Diwali. Nothing wrong buying a jewelry for birthday. But says, don't long for it. Don't greed. How many women are asking? I've seen a lot of one of my known people, not close friend. The daughter was fighting for a very expensive marriage. That guy has to borrow a lot of money for it. She wanted something very big, but she never wanted to relent. Ultimately, he has to take a lot of loans. I think more than 70 lakhs rupees of loan he got for a marriage. It was madness. But it was a problem, right? You enjoy, you want it, but do not long and greed to put somebody else in trouble. Well-being of others. You are your father, but you are asking your father at the age of 55 to take a 70 lakh rupees loan for a marriage to spend in 3 days' time. That's what he's telling. Do not, your desire has to be a well-being for others, not to harm somebody, not to create a problem for somebody. Understand. Don't long, don't crave, live with what you have. Live with limited understanding. So Krishna is very practical. He doesn't say that you lose everything, renunciate and go to a forest and do penance. But live without attachment to material desire. Live with the prescribed duty. What is required to be done? If you are a warrior, you need strength, eat accordingly. If you are an office goer, you need a car to go. Nothing wrong in that. Have something with you. But you are offered to buy a 10 lakhs rupees car, you buy it. Don't go and borrow 1 crore and buy a Ferrari. People today, all luxury cars are borrowed money from banks. People have big, small, okay, you want to dwell in a house, you take a loan, it's fine. But take a 10-bedroom big bungalow in some posh area by paying 3 crores or 4 crores rupee by loan. There's no meaning with that. That's what he's talking about. You understand, you live in a way. Don't have to be renunciate. Karma, that's what I'm saying. Karma yoga, you do it. A lot of people say you lose everything, go become a sannyasi. Krishna says differently, applies to each one of us. He says, do not leave your household. Do not leave your life. Do your life. Live in your life. Do your prescribed duties. But become a karma yogi. Don't do karma alone. So that's what he says. Finally says, thus Arjuna, this is the state of the buddhi yogi who can attain the status of the Brahman. Attaining this, one is no longer deluded. One who remains at that state, even at the end of one's life, he attains liberation, which is called Jivan Mukti. You all know about Jivan Mukti and Videga Mukti. Jivan Mukti means obtaining moksha, mukti, liberation in this birth. Videga Murti means you never reborn again. That is Svajnana Bodham. That is what Krishna is saying. You will attain Jivan Mukti if you are able to live with intelligence. And you and me can do it, right? Absolutely becoming karma yogi, automatically you enter into jnana yoga. You can bypass devotion completely because jnana, ultimately from devotion you have to go to jnana yoga. That is what he's telling. Do that. This is what is karma yoga about. Finally, I've done it, boss. Thank you very much for you. This is what, and any questions we can discuss, but I don't want to take it further. But this is the final thought of it. So the chapter 18 is a fantastic summary, but at this stage, we stop here. We have to introspect and go with that. I wish all of you to achieve intellectual state, Buddhi Yoga state. I start by Krishna. I'm available for any discussion today, tomorrow, anytime, but preferably in the weekends. Finally, this is my book, which is getting released by December 24, is the cover page of the book. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Excellent session. So quickly we'll move on to the question answers. Participants, you may please unmute and start asking your questions immediately. Yeah.
Sir, this is Vela Idam. Amazing session. Lot of takeaways. Thank you very much, Gopi sir, and thank you very much, Muthukumar sir, for enlightening once again. Your sessions have always been highly enlightening. I'm looking forward to the book. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Hello, sir. Excellent session. I am Johnny Verghese from Kerala. Actually, sir, you mentioned a book, The Art of War.
Yes.
Can you tell me which publisher is publishing that book?
It is available even in Google. It is available free of charge for you. You can download Google free.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
His author is Sun Tissue, S-U-N Sun, T-Z-U, Tissue, Sun Tissue. You can go Google download. It is available free, and it's also available on Amazon.com anywhere.
So there's a movie
Okay.
called The Art of War. Is that related to this book?
No. That's different, sir. Completely.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Muthukumar, this is Ram Prasad.
Yeah, please go on, Ram. Please go on, Ram.
I'm actually Gopi's ear met. I think Gopi, thanks for this super enlightening session. I think we started at 10:30 and we are at 1:11. And honestly, it was really an eye-opening session, Mr. Muthukumar. I think all of us have to strive towards the Sthita Prajna status. I think the Sankhya Yoga, which you said, is absolutely right. And all of us are striving pretty hard to reach the goal and the truth. And looking forward to meeting you sometime in Chennai when you're here.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I'm going to be there by first week of December. So
Okay.
We'll arrange,
my number is there.
Ram. Ram, we'll arrange.
Okay.
We'll arrange for a meeting. We'll arrange for a session with Mr. Muthukumar.
Brilliant, Muthukumar. I think we have really, it's an excellent session. Thanks, Gopi.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Ram. Yeah, participants, please unmute and ask your questions. Right, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Didi, please go on. You have a question?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you to AABN and also to Mr. Kumar for this insightful session. I'm not an Indian, but it's been very interesting learning about the Bhagavad Gita, and I'm sure everyone would have been able to relate at some point to the things he has explained. Well, the desireless outcome, not having the attachment is a very key point to take. And also we should always bear in mind that nothing is really permanent. Like there was a part he explained the happiness, going in between happiness, sadness, the different emotions. We should try not to attach to the outcomes of things. That's a very good learning I took from this. So thankful for this session, and I look forward to the upcoming sessions.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Didi. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, participants, you may please unmute and ask your questions.
This is Eke. Eke. I actually have a comment rather than a question. First of all, Kumar, excellent work. Nearly 2 hours, 40 minutes of captivating discussion. I think this reminds me of Manishankar Ayar. That's a gentleman that can hold a place captive for hours without looking at a piece of paper. So I would say, in my opinion, you probably will rival him in one form or another. One thing that I've observed over the last couple of years is that mankind has built lots of knowledge, thousands of years, and some knowledge more recently. You actually have spent a good amount of time educating us and reminding us of very powerful and interesting tools for life. But if I should make an observation, nearly everybody on this call is an adult of a form. And where am I going to? We have a lot of body of knowledge today about health, about food, and how that can influence our health and how long we live. Again, when we teach this, we teach it to only adults. So my observation is a talk like yours, we actually should take it to secondary schools. Let's not go yet to primary. We should take it to universities. Similarly, the knowledge that we actually just present to adults or people when they're already middle-aged about food and health and exercise, we actually should teach them at a much earlier age. And if we do that, over the decades, would actually build a much better world. So I don't know this organization, if it's possible for you to organize this sort of session where Kumar will give, maybe not for 2 hours, 40 minutes, for a shorter period, this sort of discussion to much younger people. Thank you.
I think it's an excellent point, EK, what you raised. Absolutely, you're right about it. That's one of the biggest challenges about the young age, right? Yeah, people like Gopi has to really help to do that. And as EK suggested, Gopi, I'm happy. But then you are the person who can make it happen, Gopi.
Sure,
Any
sir.
answer to EK?
Sir. We'll take it forward, sir.
Okay. Thanks, EK. I think it's a very, very good suggestion, actually. Very good. Thank you, sir.
Hello, Gopi sir and Muthu sir.
Please,
Yes.
please.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and we know about the Bhagavad Gita in short form, like in the latest technical language, not on the Sanskrit and old language. I have one question. There is a point on the slide number 17. Is
Okay.
desire comes the anger comes from desire. Okay.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate more on that? And then what is the reason of desires? Because of the desire, anger is coming. Slide
Okay,
number
sir.
17.
Yeah, okay. I'm just going there now.
Yeah,
Okay,
point
so
3.
you have a desire for anything, right? If the
Yeah.
desire, okay, let's say you have a desire for a particular element or a tool or your food or whatever it is.
Okay.
You able to get the desire satisfied, then you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, for whatever reason, the desire doesn't happen, the desire does not occur, you're not
Right.
able to achieve that, then you're going to first get frustrated. Oh, I'm not able to get what I want. Then that frustration will convert itself into anger because why I'm not getting this? Then you will start automatically blaming somebody else. A simple example, I was talking about a biryani, for example. You order a very good food for you, and the food delivery boy is not coming in time. He's taken half an hour, 1 hour now, 2 hours, he's not coming. Initially you get frustrated, then you get angry on him, right? As soon as he comes after 2 hours, you open the door, you're going to shout at him. What happened? Why did it take 2 hours? You were supposed to come in half an hour time. That's what you will do it, right? And we also do it with our everything. For example, you're expecting a promotion or you're expecting a salary increase or a bonus, for example.
Then you
Yeah.
wait for 6 months for that to happen. You work very hard, you do everything out, and then the result come. The management says that, oh, sorry, this year no increment, no bonus. You had a lot of desire waiting for it. Initially get frustrated, but then you see somebody else got a bonus, somebody got a salary increase. You're going to get very angry, and you're going to go to the boss and say, I worked so hard. You're not. So your desire is becoming anger, because when the desire, if it is not unfulfilled, it will naturally turn into anger, sir, which is
Okay.
also accepted by psychologists in this world today.
Okay. Can you give one or two examples with the relationship like husband, wife, and maybe mother and son? Okay. Just for understanding and knowledge
Yeah,
purpose.
no, mother and son can really be good. For example, most of the mothers, for example, today they want son to really excel in the classroom. They want to take a first rank or 95% mark and above, something like that. So they really put a lot of effort. Mothers arrange for tuitions, arrange for good kind of online courses, spend money. They work very hard. They go to the school and drop and attend parent teacher association. The mothers put a lot of effort, no doubt at all. But for example, the son is only making 90% or comes third or fourth in the classroom. The desire of it's not son's desire. We have to understand that. For
Yeah,
son to
exactly.
become 91 is the mother's desire, not son's desire. The mother's desire, when she gets 90 or become third or fourth in the school rank, she gets frustrated initially. So one time you may say, okay, fine, do it next time better. Then second time also does it continuously for 3-4 exams. You do it. She's going to get angry. She's going to start beating him, right?
Yes.
This happens every time. And like recently there was a statistics looking at it. Out of the 100 suicides for students, 37% of the suicide is because of the fear of failure of meeting the expectations of the parents. It was a very alarming one. It says 37% of the suicide of students is arising because of the fear of the failure of meeting the expectations of the parents. So I may not be able to meet the expectation of a father, they commit suicide. And that is what is happening. The desire of the mother is getting into anger and she starts beating the children, which is very common today in the world.
Right.
And husband and wife is very, very similarly can do with husband and wife. Let's say, for example, husband and wife, right? Both of them are working. Let's say both of them leave the office at 8 o'clock in the morning. Both of them come at around 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. As soon as they both are tired, both are coming back home. So the wife naturally expects that when she is cooking, the husband at least should take care of cleaning, maybe washing in the washing machine or removing the dustbin and putting it in the dustbin, whatever it is. She's expecting him to share something. But the husband comes and puts on a TV, takes a beer and sits there and makes the chips and start eating it, doing nothing and he's relaxing. And the wife is asking him. It's a desire that husband has to do something for her, something to share the load. But the husband is not doing. Initially, she gets frustrated. Maybe for a week or two, she will do it herself, thinking that my husband is like that, I'll adjust it. But beyond certain time, she's going to get very angry. She's going to shout at the husband saying that if you don't do it, I'm also not going to do it. I'm not going to cook. If you want to eat, order and eat it like this. And this is very common. Recently, another statistics survey, you look at it, similar to the suicide, 100 divorces happening between young husband and wife, less than 35 years of age. If you look at it, 77% of the reason is for husband or wife, one of them, not sharing the load at home.
Right.
It's very similar. So your desire is not done by somebody else. So you expect somebody else to do the job. That's what Krishna says. For example, your outcome of your desire or action is not depending on you. It's depending on so many other factors. In this case, she has got a desire, the thought, but the action has to come from her husband. It doesn't happen. She gets angry. Krishna says, why are you getting angry? He's not doing the job. Instead of getting angry, try to resolve the issue or try to find an alternate solution for it. If you get anger, your intelligence will go away. What will you do something? Then I'm going to my mother's house. I will not cook. I will eat from outside. Both of them will spend money. They will have digestive problems, health issues. This is very common in the families today. And it is a very common thing in family relationship. That is what Karma Yoga is very good, sir, because it applies to each and every one of us in a daily life.
Yes.
Sir, can I add one question to that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please,
Sir,
please.
in this husband and wife context, actually, how can we, explain the Nishkama karma, which is explained in Bhagavad Gita? And say, for example, we said about a toleration limit, and in the context of Nishkama karma, how can we fix the toleration as a limit? I mean, a limit to toleration.
This is a similar question, sir, because it's very difficult to identify how to fix a limit to a tolerance, right? And where you achieve tolerance. And let's say take the context of Mahabharata itself, right? Now, you say Duryodhana example. He is now trying to take the land away, all the kingdom away from the Pandavas. Now he does everything required for it, and then not only he made them lose themselves, brothers and Dharma itself in the wedding. He also made them to lose Draupadi's wife, and he did not stop with that. He brings Draupadi, drags her into the court and asks his brother Duryodhana to remove her dress. And she was on a menstrual period. And Draupadi says, I am under menstrual period. My menstrual blood is coming. I have a very simple dress. So I can't come to the court of the kings. And he drags her to that. And she stays there with a single dress. She was a queen. I mean, queen of a big kingdom, 5 husbands. And she was treated so badly. And that time Bhima gets very angry, and Arjuna stops Bhima. So if you look at limit of tolerance, if you look at it, we can see from Bhima's example. Bhima gets very angry and he wants to take action immediately. But Arjuna says, Dharma has already bettered, lost you. You are a slave now. So calm down yourself. And then they all go away. Second time also he calls back and does it. Every time the Duryodhana crosses the limit, Karna crosses the limit, insults them, Bhima gets into anger. Every time he wants to fight, everyone they fight. So Dharma actually and Arjuna controls him, the tolerance, do that, do that, do that. And then Krishna only comes to him. And when Bhima tells Krishna that he's not able to, it's a beautiful dialogue between Krishna and Bhima. Bhima tells him that Krishna, I'm not able to accept. My tolerance levels are gone. I feel like even bypassing what Dharma is telling as a brother, I want to attack them. And that time Krishna says that, you got 13 years in the forest. Why don't you think, you and Arjuna can think that this 13 years at the end is going to lead to a war. Krishna knows about it. Duryodhana is not going to give the land back to you, Bhima. He's not going to give the land back to you, Arjuna. There's going to be a war. Only by war you're going to take the land back. In that case, this 13 years, why don't you think there is an opportunity for you to build your strength in warfare and build your abilities and capacity to build a warfare? Use your anger, keep the tolerance, but convert that anger into your strength and create a value. And then he tells Bhima, you need a son which is more powerful than you. That's why he goes and marries Udumbi and gets Garuda. And Garuda is supposed to be the biggest warrior of the entire Pandava clan. So that's what Krishna says. So similar to that, in normal life, that karma, when you talk about tolerance limit, people always say, when your tolerance level goes outside your control, divert the tolerance. Instead of getting anger or frustration or depression, divert that tolerance to create a strength for you in something else, anticipating something else. That's the only way, sir. Even in my personal life, when your tolerance goes off, I can tell you sometimes you get into financial problems, we get into business issues, we get into some kind of personal issues with respect to some tolerance will go off and you may get angry and you will react to that. But if you follow Karma Yoga, that tolerance level, you can divert it to something else. To be very frank with you, I've done several times myself, diverting my tolerance to something else. For example, now I was frustrated. Personally, I'm sharing my own experience. After COVID, I was very frustrated because of some business financial problems and issues. I was frustrated for nearly a year. And I thought something else I can do because I naturally have an ability, because I'm a risk expert. I am also very good in mathematics and complex projects. So why can't I do something else? So I immediately took up medical, I started reading medical technology. I started working for certificate in medical and started doing research on medical side. So I'm writing a book on that tolerance issue converted me into medical field now. So today I'm trying to become a doctor. And that is what I'm trying at the age of 62. That is what we can do. That's what the karma tolerance explains. We can convert our tolerance into strength by diverting our attention something else.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for your excellent insight and an ample reply to people like me who are facing challenges. In our journeys. Anyway, thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
Yeah, Manidharan sir.
Thank you, Kumar sir, for the clarification. We look forward to more session, and I will ready to spend 2 hours for every Sunday for such type of topics. Thank you.
Okay,
Manivanan
thank
sir.
you, sir.
DM, Manivanan sir. Okay, it's not there. Anyone else has a question? Sanjay, Rajendra, Arun, Niyata.
Muthukumar sir, this is a very beautiful session. I think I got answers for a lot of unknown questions or questions were in doubt. So a lot of things. I missed the first 45 minutes of your session, but I will try to catch up by seeing the recording. But it's a very beautiful session, sir. Lot of clarity, lot of information. It's good. Nice. Thanks. I'm looking forward for your book.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
One last question we can take. Anybody else has a question? Sanjay?
Yeah, sir, thanks, sir, for an excellent session, sir. I have no questions today, but it was excellent to Muthu, sir, as well, sir. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Deepak, do you have a question, Deepak?
So can I ask a question? Last question.
Yes, please.
Rajendra Sapre. Sir, you explained most of it through the Samkhya philosophy. What is the literal meaning of that, sir? The word Samkhya philosophy.
So, Samkhya philosophy's fundamental concept is Prakriti, sir. Actually, I don't know how much time we have, Gopi, but Samkhya philosophy is a philosophy which started parallel to the Upanishads time. If you look at the Indian history, towards the end of the Vedic period, Upanishads became inquiry into Brahman, and Samkhya philosophy is started by Kapila. What it says is basically based on nature and Prakriti. What it says is the Prakriti is from nature. It's got a male and a female power within themselves, Purusha and a concept, and they create everything in the universe on their own. There was no God, there was no Brahman, there was no thought, nobody told you be created. So it was an evolution theory accepted by Charles Darwin kind of model. And so Samkhya's fundamental concept is your Prakriti drives you. Everything is driven by Prakriti, and the Prakriti is controlled by 3 different qualities, which is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Irrespective of where you are controlled by, even says the Prakriti affects the mountains and rivers and stones and non-living beings, or everything is affected by the Prakriti. And it says that, and science has proved that. What is happening, for example, I don't know how many vegetarians are there. You'll be very shocked to listen to that is every vegetarian plant is anti-nutrient, is poisonous to the health. But the quantity of poison anti-nutrient is so low now that whatever you eat, nothing happens to you. In fact, animal meat is not anti-nutrient. There's no poison in the animal meat. The reason is Prakriti. That is what Samkhya philosophy says very clearly, that even plants, even non-living beings are affected by this Prakriti, the 3 gunas and the life. So that was the original Samkhya philosophy, sir. Fundamentally, everything is nature. And nature has got a Prakriti, which is, it's also nature is not direct translation into English, but it's also controlled by a male and female portion and 3 qualities, which are this Raja, Tamas, and Sattva. And at the end of the day, everything will destroy and will be reborn again. So the particular fantastic concept is whatever is born will be destroyed. It will be reborn again. One example, the Samkhya people say that you create a pot from clay. Those days only clay they talk about, right? You create a clay pot, but you're saying it's a pot. But is it a pot? It's actually clay. Clay is converted into a pot. So what is he saying that the pot is an object of an intrinsic quality. So what is the constituent element? What Prakriti says is beautiful. Samkhya says, what is the constituent element of the clay pot? Clay, correct? The constituent element is clay. So he says, after the pot is broken, it will go back into clay. Now, what is the constituent element within clay? Clay is also an object. As per Samkhya philosophy, clay is also an object. It says clay is an object. That means what is the constituent element of a clay? Then, of course, the chemical engineers or chemistry majors are there. They will tell you that it has got silicon and this and then all the chemicals. So it's combination of all the molecules of chemicals is clay. Now, Samkhya philosophy says, that time they didn't know the molecules, name of the chemicals, right? But they say that combination of several elements become clay. Now, what is the constituent element of that particular element? Let's say, for example, clay has got a silicon component. What is the constituent element of the silicon? So Samkhya philosophy goes back and says that it is formed from a natural element, something else, very similar to Big Bang. It says something like this happened, and there was no Brahman or a God which pushes it. Due to some kind of a natural event, everything is broken, came and became an element. That's what natural concept of Prakriti. In fact, Samkhya philosophy is followed even today, sir, just for information. It's a very strong philosophy. People follow it. Unfortunately, what has happened, as I told earlier before, between the believers and non-believers of issue, this concept of Samkhya, concept of agnostic and deistic model, everything got destroyed. But in Bhagavad Gita, in Krishna uses Samkhya philosophy, only one thing he introduces is called a soul. He introduces a self concept in Bhagavad Gita, but which was not there in the original Samkhya philosophy. This is the basis, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. This session has actually generated a lot of interest, and looking forward to reading your book, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Greetings. Very wonderful session. I just wanted to know, like, when can we expect your book? I'm just looking forward for it, like whether we get any kind of a notifications and things.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Right now, we are planning to release the book on 15th of December, which is a Purnami day. We want to release at that day, ma'am, just before the New Year.
Yeah. Because I believe in that philosophy, so I'm just looking forward for it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Don't worry, we'll keep you posted when the book is getting released in advance.
Thank you.
Whatever you thought today, are they present in that book, sir?
Yes, sir. It's all from the book only. All the interpretations are from the book only.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, is the book available in the ebook format also, or is it only in a print?
No, it's going to be both in the ebook format as well as
Oh, thank you.
Is that possible that I get a book signed by you, autograph?
No, but absolutely, ma'am. I don't have any problem at all. In fact, if you want, I can send you a chapter to you by email to you to read as a pre-read chapter.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I'll send it to Gopi and Gopi can forward that to you.
Yes, sir. I will post it in the group, sir. Don't worry, sir.
Okay.
If it's not a problem for you, please send the slides also, sir. So that...
Oh, slides, definitely I'll send it to Gopi. Yes, Gopi will do that. Definitely, I'll do that, sir.
Yes. Gopi sir, recording I can see the recording.
Yeah, Suraj, we'll share the recording. Just give us a couple of days time, we'll share it to you.
Sir, okay. Gopi sir, this recorded sessions could not be viewed from the website. Was this some reason, or I'm not doing it right?
Probably PS can answer. PS, can you answer this?
Hold on. Can you repeat that question, please?
I'm unable to get through the website for AABN to listen to these recorded versions, recorded sessions.
Okay. How are you
Um,
doing that? Because I don't see that to be an issue here. What are you doing that makes it wrong?
Could be. I just get to the website and go to the recorded session. Once I tried, couple of times I tried, then I just left it. So I just thought,
When
check
you
it
mean
out.
tried, when you mean tried, what did you do?
I go to the website and there was a pull down menu where the recorded session or the previous session, I tried to click, but it was not opening.
Okay. Can you try now and let me know if there is any issues? You can WhatsApp me if you want.
I'll do that, sir. Maybe I don't want the session to be elongated. I'll do it and post. Yeah, yeah, sure. I'll do that later.
Yes, one last question. Anyone else wants? Jagannathan, you want to say something? Jagannathan? Okay, sir. Muthukumar, sir, thank you very much for the session, sir. Thank you very much for taking your time out on a Sunday morning to be with us. And
Thank
we had
you.
a very
Thanks,
excellent,
Gopi.
we had a very excellent session. Thank you very much for that. Grateful to you.
Thank you, sir.
Look
Thank
for,
you. Thank Gopi for thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
look forward to your
Thank
books,
you
sir.
very
Thank you
much.
very much.